Good evening. That's okay. Good. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Beverly School Committee meeting of the Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life Subcommittee, otherwise known as CISL. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. We're meeting in a hybrid remote model using a remote meeting application, allowing for remote participation and for public access to the open portions of our meeting. BevCam is streaming and broadcasting for our meeting tonight on channel 6 and 1073. Thank you to our friends at BevCam. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, the requirement that a quorum of the public body and the chair be present at the meeting location remains suspended. Okay, so tonight we have, we will call, okay. I am gonna ask for Pledge of Allegiance. That's a good idea. I am gonna call us to order by roll call, please. Can I ask Catherine Frost?
Second.
Are you here? Just here is good,
Here.
right?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Madeline Lennox?
Here.
Dr. Peter Cushing?
Present.
Erin Brown?
Here.
I think Mr. Brennan is not here. We have Andrea Sherman?
Present.
Isaac Bosse is not here. Sadie Brennan, not here. Delphine Qua?
Here.
Tyler Koshik, not here. Henry Weller, not here. Victoria De La Cruz, not here. We also have three resident reps joining us tonight. Mike Cassidy,
Present.
Lorgan Sudak,
Here.
and Nora McQuarrie.
Here.
Okay, so I'll call us to order at 6:17 p.m. And then, Andrea, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so on tonight's agenda, we have a few different items. We're going to start with approval of the minutes from our January 14th meeting. We're then going to ask for a student life update from our student representative. We also have a presentation from, I believe, Julie Jones and Andrea Carroll on the subject of specially designed instruction. And then we're going to have a presentation from Principal Mark Thomas on the Beverly High School Program of Studies. And then we have a couple policies to be discussed, reviewed, and then potentially voted upon to move to the Committee of the Whole. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January 14th meeting. In order to open up for discussion on those minutes, I need to have a first and a second, a motion for first and a second, and then we can open up for discussion on those minutes if anybody has any comments or changes to be had.
I'll motion that first. Second.
All right, I have a first from Madeline Lennox and a second from Ms. Catherine Frost.
And I did have a couple things
Okay.
I noted. Just
That sounds
minor
great.
corrections, nothing major. Just
Sure.
there's two places that my name is spelled wrong.
Okay,
When one is where members are present and then approval of the minutes. It just needs to be an A instead
oh,
of an
I'm
E.
sorry, thank
No, that's
you.
okay. I know it was
No,
just
I appreciate it. And then where's the other one, please?
So the first was that members
Oh,
present
and then approval
under
of the minutes. Okay.
Right. And then just one other
Yep.
minor thing. In what is CISL, in one spot, it refers to Ms. Brown as Mr. Brown.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Brown, I see that.
Those were my only notes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
May I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes.
If, page 3,
Okay.
presentation by Dr. Jennifer Thomas and Paul Casey.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth a few times in that paragraph between Ms., Mr., and Doctor.
Oh, okay. So I do know that I heard Ms. Jennifer Thomas referred to as doctor. Is that, I'm going to ask Erin if that's correct. Okay.
That's correct.
So I would suggest, if you're agreeable, Ms. Frost, do you think we should change that consistently from Ms. Thomas to Dr. Thomas? Is that what you're perhaps?
I would
or just pick a-
suggest that, and
Okay.
also probably get rid of Mr. Thomas,
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, let's see.
and that's later
Let
in
me
the
find that.
paragraph.
Mr. Thomas, I see where it says highlighted their grand fundraising initiatives.
Yep.
Okay, so that
And
needs
and
to.
also the line below says Mr. as well.
Oh, I see that. Thank you both.
And then another one
Oh,
underneath that.
great. I see that now. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. So just to be clear, where it said, under the section where it talks about presentation by Dr. Jennifer Thomas and Paul Casey, where it says, where it refers to Dr. Thomas, we are going to change that from Ms. to Doctor. And where it says incorrectly Mr., we're going to also change that to Doctor. Okay. Any other changes?
I have one
Yeah.
on that same page. I think it's Lauren Sweatman.
Okay.
So the presentation by Lauren.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that spelled incorrectly?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, McQuarrie. Miss McQuarrie, how do we need to correct that? Does it-
SWEATMAN, I believe.
Correct? Okay. So thank you for drawing that to my attention. I have to be honest, I wrote down that name really quickly and I kind of had a hard time reading my own writing, so I really appreciate that. No problem. So where we say, so basically in that entire section where we say, just to reiterate, presentation by Laura Sweatman, we are changing that from the incorrect spelling to Sweatman in the title section and also in the rest of that paragraph where I've incorrectly spelled her name.
Yes, and Lauren is right, the first name.
It is. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Okay, so I don't think I was supposed to chunk that up into different motions because that was for discussion. Yep. Okay, so just to reiterate, where we've spelled Madeline Lennox name incorrectly, I'm changing the E to an A. That happened twice. Then we're under the section of what is CISL, where we refer to Ms. Brown as Mr. Brown. Again, I apologize. We're going to fix that. In the section where it talks about the presentation by Jennifer Thomas, where we have either Mr. or Ms. referring to Dr. Thomas, we're going to change that to Dr. Thomas. And in the section that refers to the presentation by Ms. Lauren Sweatman, we're going to change her name to SWEATMAN in the title of the paragraph and in the following sentences. Did I capture all of that? Awesome. Thank you very much. I think I need to take I don't technically need to take a roll call vote because we're all here in person, but if it's okay with you and for my record purposes, I'd like to do a roll call vote on the minutes, please. I'm going to start with Ms. Catherine Frost,
Yes.
Ms. Madeline Lennox,
Yes.
Mr. Derek Brennan, not here, Mr. Casey Fury, not here, Andrea Sherman. Thank you. Mr. Isaac Bosse, not here. Sadie Brennan, not here. Tyler Koshik, not here. Henry Weller, not here. Victoria De La Cruz, not here. Delphine Qua.
Abstain.
Thank you. Can I call please on our 3 resident reps? Laura Sudak,
Abstain.
Ms. Nora McQuarrie,
Yes.
Mr. Mike Cassidy.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 1, 2, excuse me as I count, 3, 4, 5, including myself, 5 with 1 abstain. Okay. Next on our agenda will be an update, please, from our student representatives.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Delphine. I'm a freshman at BHS, and I'm just here to share a little bit about student life right there for me personally right now. Recently, my basketball team, we had a teacher appreciation game, so everyone on our team was able to invite one of one of your teachers to come watch the game. So I decided to invite my band teachers, Mr. and Mrs. Krafka, to come to the game. We were given letters to handwrite and deliver to them before the game, and I think it was a really fun opportunity to show my gratitude for them and all that they've done. They've given me lots of life lessons, lots of lessons in music too, obviously, and I just like to take this opportunity to show some of my gratitude for them and all they've done. We're also in jazz band working on our competition tunes. I play piano in jazz band, and it's pretty fun, and I get a lot of mentorship from junior Lydia Betts, and she's kind of been showing me the ropes of BHS jazz band, and I'm having a really good time with that crew. And in English, we just finished Homer's Odyssey, and we're going to be writing our own epics in the class, and we got to vote on them today. So now we're going to write about one of the characters that our class picked, and we're going to create our own epic story where everyone gets to write their own episodes, and we're going to make it into one big book, kind of. So that's pretty fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Qua. All right. Does anybody have any questions for our student representative? Great. So, Delqua, you're obviously welcome to stay, but if you need to go home, I understand you have games and homework and practices and things that you need to get ready for.
I do have a mentorship with one of the travel basketball teams right now, so I'm going to go to their practice and go help. We're going to show them some drills and stuff, so I do have to go now, but thank you for having me.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming. So next, Ms. Brown, are you ready to call Ms. Jones and Ms. Carroll for our presentation on specially designed instruction?
Yes, I would love for them to come up. So get you a microphone. So tonight I asked Ms. Jones and Ms. Carroll to come here tonight to share with us, what is specially designed instruction? How is it different than the instruction that occurs in the general ed classroom through multi-tiered systems of supports? So MTSS, the systems of supports, is a framework that looks at how we support students in their learning and what their needs are. And so they're going to talk a little bit about that, but it's essentially how do we address student need in our buildings and in our classrooms. The first level of it being, the general ed classroom and the general ed curriculum, high quality curriculum materials, and that's where everyone gets that in their classes. And then targeted interventions from there, and finally tier 3 is more specialized instruction. And so that's why I asked them to come, because some people sometimes get confused of the differences between them. And so they're experts in the field, so have them come and share their information and knowledge with us. They're both language-based teachers at the Hannah Elementary School, and we are privileged to have them tonight. And I thank you so much, both of you, for doing this and sharing your knowledge with the committee and everyone at large as well.
Yes. Thank you.
So I'll turn it over to you, and you can just tell me when to hit the.
Give you the sign.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for having us. I'm Julie Jones. I'm the language-based teacher, like Erin said, at the Hannah Elementary School, but it's a district-wide program.
Yep, and I'm Andrea Carroll. I'm also a language-based teacher here at Hannah School.
Okay, we'll just get right into it. Tonight we're going to explain what specialized instruction is and how it's different from tiers 1, 2, and 3. In our elementary schools, these terms are commonly used in education, but they can be confusing outside of the classroom. Our goal is to clearly explain how students are supported, what makes special education different from general education interventions, and why those differences matter. We'll also discuss why understanding this distinction is important for faculty, families, and the district.
Great. So as Ms. Brown kind of summarized a little bit earlier, most districts do use the MTSS framework in order to provide instruction at different levels. Tier 1 being the core instruction all students receive. It is high-quality, standards-based teaching delivered in the general education classroom. And again, the Tier 2 is that additional, more targeted support for students who are not making expected progress. This is usually a short-term, small group instruction that focuses on a specific skill, like reading fluency or math facts. And then you have Tier 3, which is the most intensive level of intervention within general education. It provides more frequent and targeted support, often in small groups again, but it is time limited and it's data driven, meaning that it's the progress is closely monitored over a definite period of time, and usually that's about 6 to 8 weeks. And the data is reviewed to determine whether the intervention should be adjusted, continued, discontinued, or any other next steps that should be considered at that time. So with that kind of overarching understanding, we wanted to kind of go into what is specialized instruction. It is also called specially designed instruction, SDI, you might see that, and it really is the core of special education. It's provided by qualified professionals who have learned how to adjust the content, the methodologies, and delivery of instruction. These adjustments are made to meet students' individual needs as they relate to a disability or disabilities. The purpose of specialized instruction is really to ensure that, sorry, I lost my, the purpose of specialized instruction is to ensure that students can really access and participate in the general education curriculum and make effective progress. Overall, it really removes barriers caused by a disability.
Specialized instruction, some other points is that it's required by federal law and state law, including IDEA. Schools must provide it when a student is eligible. It's also designed to ensure a free, appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, in the least restrictive environment. Instruction is individualized, meaning it's based on student data and specific needs related to a disability, not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's delivered through the student's IEP, which outlines goals, services, and supports that have been developed through an IEP team process. The instruction is explicit, so skills are taught clearly, step by step, following a planned and intentional sequence. Student progress is regularly monitored, like Andrea said, and instruction is adjusted based on how the individual student's skills are developing. It's not a Tier 3 plus. It is instruction that is specifically designed to address how a student's disability affects learning. For example, if a student who has dyslexia, like what Andrea and I do within the language-based program, they may benefit from repeated exposure to the same reading intervention. They wouldn't benefit from that, but what they would require is a structured, explicit, systematic approach to reading that targets, say, phonological processing, decoding, encoding, in a way that the general interventions are not designed to do.
So we kind of wanted to go with this slide into the what and how of specialized instruction. So specialized instruction may adjust both what is being taught and how it is being taught. So what can be taught under specialized instruction? Some students need to learn at a foundational or functional level of skills before they can successfully work on grade level material. For example, students are expected to read and understand complex texts. A middle school student with a reading disability may continue to need foundational reading skills, as Julie was saying, phonemic awareness, decoding, encoding, through specialized instruction before they can fully access grade level reading, and that instruction is no longer provided through the general education curriculum. Other students may be working towards the same grade level expectations, but need a different approach to learning the material. As well as students might need to learn skills to help them function within the classroom with greater independence. both at school and possibly even daily life. They may need explicit instruction on learning how to follow schedules, develop routines, organize materials, and complete tasks with greater independence.
Another difference is how specialized instruction is delivered. Teaching, like we said before, is explicit and systematic, clear, structured, step by step. Teachers show students how to do a skill, give them the time that they need to practice it, and provide frequent feedback. Lessons may involve multisensory methods, not just seeing it, feeling it, hearing it, very tactile activities. Instruction may move at a slower pace so students fully learn skills before moving on, as well as embed a spiraled review of previously learned skills. Teaching methods and evidence-based on approaches are carefully chosen because they are proven to help students with disabilities learn. So some examples of instructional methodologies are, let's see, and it is direct intentional teaching of specific skills tied to a student's disability. So some examples are like structured literacy, which is direct, systematic, sequential reading instruction that teaches how sounds and letters work together. For example, like the Orton-Gillingham-based approaches, like we use in the language-based program. There's explicit math instruction, where students learn math concepts by moving from hands-on materials to visuals, then to the numbers themselves, CRA. Direct explicit writing instruction, in which teachers use templates, models, graphic organizers in order to build upon sentences and eventually paragraphs. There's executive functioning instruction, where students are taught how to plan, organize, and manage tasks in their time. Language and communication instruction, in which students receive direct teaching and vocabulary, sentence structure, understanding language, reading comprehension strategies. And then there's self-regulation and behavior instruction, where students learn strategies to manage emotions, attention, and behavior at school and in their lives. And then assistive technology is another form of instruction in which students are taught how to use tools that help them access learning more independently.
So this slide explains some additional adjustments that may be part of specialized instruction as well. Adjustments in instruction can change how students show their learning and where the instruction may happen and how much support they receive. So, for example, different methodologies in terms of how students demonstrate learning might be students may orally respond instead of writing to show their understanding. Students may also show understanding using pictures, models, or more of a hands-on approach and using hands-on materials. The writing may be reduced without lowering expectations using things like paragraph frames and sentence frames. Assistive technology, as Julie had mentioned earlier, may be used to things like speech-to-text or text-to-speech to help students demonstrate their learning. Specialized instruction can also occur in different settings. It may happen in one-to-one settings or in small group. Many students actually receive the support in the general education classroom as deemed appropriate. Some students may receive instruction in a separate setting as outlined in their IEP, depending on their disability and level of need. Oftentimes we see a combination of both, where students are requiring both that specialized instruction within their general education classroom and outside of the general education classroom. And finally, the intensity and frequently can also be looked at. Students may need more instructional time on certain skills and tasks. Skills are practiced and repeated repeatedly with frequent and sometimes immediate feedback. So they're not waiting for an assignment to come back to them. They're getting that direct feedback right away. Instruction may be actually done at a slower pace so students can master skills before moving on to more complex tasks.
Why specially designed instruction matters for districts. It's essential at the district level for it ensures legal compliance, It protects students' rights and supports equitable access to the curriculum. When specialized instruction is implemented effectively, districts often see fewer long-term academic and behavioral challenges, which benefit students and schools alike. Additionally, it can help reduce the number of out-of-district placements.
So what is required from our district for specialized instruction? This is some examples of what the district needs in place for specialized instruction to work well, because it's not just a service, it requires intentional planning and support. First and foremost, the students require qualified licensed staff. Specialized instruction must be delivered by educators and service providers who are trained in a disability-specific instructional methods. They should be trained in how to implement an IEP and develop an IEP, as well as how to progress monitor. Additionally, ongoing professional development is absolutely essential. It includes training in areas like structured literacy, explicit math instruction, behavior supports, and inclusive practices. And that should be, like we said, ongoing, as we're always learning as a community. Third, adequate staffing and manageable caseloads are essential to ensure instruction can be individualized.
Also, flexible scheduling and protected instructional time are critical. Schools need the flexibility to ensure uninterrupted instructional time so that SDI is not shortened, delayed, or replaced by other demands. Another fifth is educators need access to appropriate materials and instructional tools, including evidence-based curriculum, assistive technology, and progress monitoring systems that support individualized instruction. And finally, collaboration time is crucial. Effective specialized instruction requires regular communication and consultation among general educators, special educators, related service providers, and families.
So just to summarize, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 are essential and support systems within every district, but they do serve a different purpose than the purpose of special education. Specialized instruction is different in its design, its responsibility, and its legal requirements. It is highly individualized, legally required, and critical to student success. It ensures that students with disabilities can access learning, making meaningful progress, and also thrive in school. And we find that when districts invest in strong specialized instruction, they strengthen the entire educational system, not just the special education services. So that's our presentation. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much both for sharing all that information. 'Cause you got a lot in there. So I appreciate that. But does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to ask or share?
I just wanted to clarify, you mentioned a 6 to 8 week time period. Is that when the data is being reviewed or the child's being tested, or what was that?
That was during the MTSS, so in different the part of usually Tier 2 or Tier 3. It usually is about a 6 week where data is collected, and then the team meets at the school level and decides kind of from there.
And they decide whether there need to be alterations to that plan, change whatever's happening in terms of the intervention, and then see if that works and come back to the table. Other questions?
Thank you. Just thinking about before the specialized instruction and the Tier 2 and Tier 3 programs, it gets harder as students get older to schedule that. And I'm wondering I know that you're in special education at the elementary school, so I might be asking the wrong people. But in the middle school and the high schools, how are we as a district supporting teachers to provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 instructions? And do we need more support for that? Or
So
is this a different question? I could ask it at a different meeting.
Okay. No, that's fine. In terms of that, I'll take that over.
Oh, sure.
At the high school, they have the flex block. And so the flex block is an opportunity for students to either flex into, or the teacher to flex the students into their classroom during that time to provide them with supports during that time. and wind blocks. I'm sure you've heard wind blocks across the district or other times that a lot of those tier 2 and tier 3 interventions are occurring at the other levels.
I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood the tier 3. I thought that the tier 3 would be more frequent than, I think the flex block, I can't speak to the middle school schedule, but if it's, twice a week for 40 minutes, if a kid needs more, or if a student needs more than that, I'm just wondering how, and again, this could be a different question, a question for a different time, but how are we able to offer that tier 3 at the upper levels where there's not as much flexibility in a schedule?
Yep. So that's something like in terms of, I just went to a conference on that with different high schools presenting on what that looks like. And predominantly it is more difficult at that level. People are really trying to utilize flex blocks in that manner to be able to address student needs. Typically, if students are significantly behind, they might at that point require some other type of testing or intervention at that point. It just depends on what their needs are and kind of looking at that. But it's certainly much more difficult at the high school level, and that was the conversation that occurred amongst a bunch of schools that were at a conference recently.
Thank you.
Other questions? Lindsay?
So I understand that the process to move, if I understand this correctly, the process to move through from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 happens during the MTSS process. Is that, I want to make sure that I piggyback on Ms. Sudak's question. The first part of my question is, which part of that, I missed, I think, which part of that is the 6 to 8 week time frame? That's the first part of my question. And the second part of my question is, if we feel like a student is not making progress when we have exhausted the tier 3 option and we don't have a caregiver coming to us with caregiver concerns, what would be the next step if the teachers feel like this student might need specialized instruction?
So 6 to 8 weeks it's not just 6 to 8 weeks and then we refer. We go through a process through BSST of looking at what are those concerns that, a student can be referred to a BSST team within their school. And so you'd look at what are the interventions. We tried this intervention. We might have changed that, tried another, gone from tier 2 to tier 3. We've tried some interventions within there. And then within that process at BSST, there can be the discussion of, is there a request for a referral for testing because of concerns of the maybe lack of progress to the interventions?
So I'm wondering I'm curious what that process looks like if we don't have a caregiver coming to us with concerns or with a request for testing and a teacher or the teacher team's part of the MTSS, BSST system. And I want to acknowledge that we have a subcommittee subsequent to the resolution that I should probably highlight for those at home, which started in September and maybe don't have knowledge of that. So I'll hold and I'll clarify what I'm talking about when I refer to that in just a second. But I just, so that I have an understanding, what does that process look like for teachers or a teacher team that has some concerns and wants to perhaps have a student evaluated?
They would go through that process. So they would go to BSST. They would go through kind of the intervention process.
So it's through that.
Through that process. And then if they've gone through that process, which varies, it varies for every student, then if there's a request, it would come from that team for a request. Yes.
Okay. And so since I mentioned it, for those watching at home and for those who might watch this later, I want to recognize and explain that we, Ms. Visnick, our now school committee president, who was then our Ward 6 representative, brought forth a resolution with some language which included an endeavor by the committee to explore an outside audit. There was some discussion around the language of that resolution. Subsequent to that discussion, we created a subcommittee to discuss, to manage a couple different things. The language in that resolution
The updated language will actually be presented and discussed at the larger committee meeting later tonight. The second part of that is to, with involved stakeholders from the BTA, from parents, from members of the administration, to explore what we would want to get from an outside audit so that when we build the RFP, we have involvement in that process from all relevant stakeholders. And then the third part of that is to recognize and perhaps do some work now on things that maybe could use some improvement. We're talking about the MTSS process. Still more work to do on that. We just started talking about that kind of last week. So for those that are curious about that, that's what I was referring to when I spoke on that.
Great. Any other questions? I want to thank you both. You did a fabulous job, and I really appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I think we have Mr. Thomas.
Yes, so next up we have Program of Studies updates. Mr. Thomas, if you wouldn't mind coming up, and he will share some of those changes and additions to the programs of studies. And so I just put up there our general vision of the graduate while he gets set up.
No one told me I'd be following the great Julie Jones.
I know. It's a hard act to follow, Mr. Thomas. I don't know.
I know. Good evening, everyone. So I did update my one pager, which is actually a 2.5 pager, with page numbers, so I can give those out to people if that might help navigate this a little easier. So happy to pass that around.
We put them on here, so they're here too.
Oh, okay.
I
So the
put it up.
updated. Oh, okay. All
But
right.
we pass it out, though. I think that'd be great.
Okay. Yep. So every year, we update our program of studies. We go through a process where each department is able to review their section, propose new courses. We go through and really kind of have that dialogue with our teachers by department and go through that kind of over really a month-long process. And so this is the end result of that, and where we have a draft for our program of studies. So I'll take you through that tonight and go through. So as I go through our document here, throughout there's always some general updates of with dates, table of contents, that type of thing. So I won't bore you with all those. But if we start on page 4, that's really around our high school completion and course credit requirements. A big change we went from last year to this year is we did remove our competency determination language. That now has its own heading within our school website. We wanted to really make that easily accessible and a place to identify. So it's got its own standalone link right on the website now, as opposed to kind of being in this larger 75-page program. So that is no longer in here. Along with that, last year we talked about adding in a history requirement for seniors. The goal was to meet a couple different areas, one being satisfying the civics project for the state, the genocide law, and then a resolution passed by the school committee. So as we pulled that together, we came up with a course, Preserving Democracy, something we're really proud of, and our history department has worked really hard. Miss Liz Hefner is really working hard to develop a lot of that right now, so she's doing a great job. But what we found was, initially we wanted to do a 5-credit course for that. And as we ran our simulated schedules for the upcoming year and tried to work that through, what we found was a full 5-credit course really kind of logjammed their schedule. So we've kind of reworked this to bring it back down to a 2.5-credit semester course. It's going to allow for seniors to have that flexibility within their schedules, still satisfy everything we want to out of that, still have that as a graduation requirement. So now all of our students will look to pass US 1, US 2, World History, and then this 2.5 credit Preserving Democracy. Next year, it will be, all of our seniors will be in that. This is for the class of 2027 and beyond. Over time, we're looking to feather in 11th grade too, to kind of open up some more room for them. So it really will, over time, be a grade 11 and 12 course. That's a proposed change from 5 credits back down to 2.5. So 17.5 total for history for graduation requirement. Moving on, down to page 15 in our document is information about our early college pathway. We received in the fall, we applied in the spring for a grant for this pathway, received designation for that in the fall. We're in a planning year this year, so we're full implementation beginning next year. So we're excited to get that off the ground. So this is an overview on page 15, and I'll also come back to that as we get into the subject-specific areas here. So next is our courses of studies. This is really kind of a listing of all of our courses from A to Z in their credits and what credits they bear. So within that, there's some listings of the proposed added courses. I'll go into those a little more as we get into the course descriptions. This is more of like a listing of our overall course offerings. So as I go into that, the first proposed added course for us is in our business tech department, and that is our adding a sports management course for 2.5 credits. It's an elective that will hopefully run. We're excited about it. Students are excited about the prospect of this. It goes through, if you think about like a professional sports team, it's kind of the front office aspect of that. But along with that, it's also kind of the event planning path that is now becoming more and more popular. Endicott actually has an expansive program around that. And so we try to cater our courses and added courses to what the needs are in industry. And this is one we see growing quite a bit. So we're excited to offer this and get this going. So that'll be added to our business tech. Next is our career education, and again, this is where I come back to our early college program, and so I'll talk about that trajectory in a second. But before that, when you talk about our after dark programs, they also fit under this subtitle, and each year Essex Tech. They alter year to year depending on what they have for space on what shops they will offer our students. So going forward for next year, the two that will not be offered are health assisting and sustainable horticulture. However, they are offering us early education and care. So we're excited for that one. That's one we haven't had an opportunity to have students in before. So we're excited to get that going for students. And the Salem offerings remain the same. So as far as early college, within this heading, it has a path of the different courses that will be included in that early college pathway for students. They'll take 15 total credits under this pathway in collaboration with North Shore. So we're excited to get this off the ground. We put in a lot of work to get this up and running, and I'm coming in from F&F as we're trying to get a coordinator going as a result of this to really manage this and really support our students. So that is early college. Next is our is English, and that would be Advanced Placement Seminar, AP Seminar. So this is something that we're always looking to bolster our AP offerings. This is for 10th grade students, it would be in place of 10th grade English, just as like AP Lit or AP Lang would replace grade 11 or grade 12 English. And really the big thing with this, the thing that's really attractive to us is it's what they call an on-ramp AP course. And so it's really kind of there to pull kids in, really develop them as higher level students. The big piece of this that's a little different than a traditional AP is they do much more presenting and conversation in this, along with the strengthening of writing, which is a huge component of all AP classes. So what we're thinking is this will really bolster our AP Lit and AP Lang as far as preparing students as they go into that, and then other APs in other subject areas. So we're excited to get this off the ground as well. Next, we have an addition of a course in our fine arts, performing arts under music. That would be music foundations. What we've found is that over the years, we have a nice, robust program here at the middle school. You may have some students that maybe along the way decide not to do this, but what we found at the high school is our numbers in band and chorus we feel good about, but you're working with a kind of a closed group, a group that's had some experience playing an instrument. What we're not seeing is students coming into the program that had never played an instrument or had stopped sometime in middle school for whatever reason, fill in the blank. So music foundations is just like what we have in our visual arts, which with art foundations. And what we're looking to do is expose students to all the different offerings we have within our music program and try to either recapture students that have a history and a talent in this, or really pull in students that haven't had any kind of history here with music, and really get our numbers up. That's the big thing here. You know, we want to bless you. We want to make sure we're tapping into all of our students, not just a group that has this certain expertise in this area. So we're excited to get that going and try to really, you know, pull in some untapped students that we've had over the years. Okay, so history, social studies. As I spoke about, preserving democracy down from 5 credits to 2.5 credits as a semester course, and that graduation requirement that goes along with that for class of 2027 and beyond. So that's the current juniors, next year's seniors. Moving on down the line here, in our science, engineering, and applied technology, looking to add 2 courses. One is AP Physics 2. We're running AP Physics 1 right now. We're looking to run that second piece of it. And you can, what we found, and so it gives us the ability to loop the Physics 1 and Physics 2. So we won't run Physics 1 next year, we'll only run Physics 2. The nice thing is you don't need Physics 1 to take Physics 2. They're completely separate courses. So when you have a lead-in, that's always a risk you take if you're going to rotate them. This way, a student can take, let's say, Physics 2 as a junior, Physics 1 as a senior, and one doesn't impact the other, so it allows for them to take both, and it allows us to rotate it, because if you ran them year over year, sometimes with these higher-end APs where you have a small group going, you can't afford to run that every year. You wouldn't have the numbers to do that. So it allows for us to offer a huge variety to our students. The other is a CAD manufacturing course, and that's going to be a 2.5 credit elective. This is something where, again, industry is dictating something we want to bolster, which is manufacturing, and we feel like we're slowly building that up. We've spent a lot of time and energy solidifying our engineering, and now we're kind of moving into manufacturing. We're not quite at a point where we'd pursue another pathway, but it's something we have our eye on and are trying to build up to see if we do have the capacity to do that. But again, it's something where industry is telling us that there's a huge need here, and we want to provide the best opportunity for our students. Last, as far as additions in our wellness department, 2 additions. This is more of a modification of a couple of courses together. Sometimes we get certain electives, and we use the term singleton. So if it's a one running one period by one teacher, that a lot of times presents a problem for scheduling, for what kids can take it, because it's only offered in a certain spot. So what we try to do is flex a little bit and work together to kind of make this so more students can take it, more teachers can teach it, and it creates an ability to continue to run the course. So with that being said, EMR and advanced first aid is 2 courses that kind of fell into what I described. Ms. Flaherty has worked to kind of combine those and elaborate on and work this into one of our pathways, Foundation of Sports Medicine and Exercise Science. So that'll be a 5-credit course. Really what we're thinking is somebody will take an intro to first aid course or intro to athletic course, and then if it's something, a passion of theirs to pursue, this is the kind of the next step in that. The other is advanced strength training and conditioning. And this is something we'd like to offer. We have strength and conditioning, like an introductory portion of this in our Wellness 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a portion of what we do. This is kind of the next step in that. So for students that are, 2 things, looking to advance their own knowledge on personal care and strength training and conditioning, but also if they're looking to maybe get into that as a profession as well, this is a step in that direction. So, bless you. So we're going to try to get that one off the ground as well. I did not go through each and every course that we rotate. We do rotate a lot of our electives, as I spoke about. They're noted in here. I didn't pick through every single one and tell you which ones are on and which ones are off, but they are noted, and we do that pretty regularly. Like I said, to be able to make sure we have enough numbers to run those particular courses, and then that's not new. Those have been in rotation for quite some time with us. It's just we always noted in there that these are running, these are not. So happy to answer any questions that.
Does anyone have any questions? Maybe before we start, I'd just like to say thank you to you and your staff, because we offer so many amazing courses for our kids. My own children are in a different school district, and it's a much smaller school, but not even close, not even close to what we offer at this high school. So I think, to the teachers and administrators' credit, what we offer is outstanding. So looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's exciting.
Questions? Thoughts?
First of all, thank you. I want to echo what Ms. Brown said, that I'm so impressed and amazed. It's not at all like where I went to school. So just a quick question. You had mentioned that an AP English course would replace, I believe you said replace the regular English course. Is that what you said, or did I hear that wrong?
So the AP seminar replace might not be it could be taken in lieu of either Honors 10 or CP 10. So it's the equivalent.
Okay, thank you. And then this is probably a silly question. It's just the way some of it are written. Does run and hold mean the same thing? Like run the class, hold the class? Or
So those are the alternating electives that I talked about. So
Okay.
run is this year they're going.
Yeah.
Hold is they'll be back in the circulation next year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I should have given you my terminology.
Thanks for the presentation. With the course changes, can you talk about how you are supporting teachers? I noticed, for example, CAD, that's a new technology. So a teacher, I imagine, teachers learning a new technology, the way to teach it, and different content.
Yeah. So the way we talk about adding courses, it's really teacher driven, to be honest. There's sometimes there's a dialogue to say, geez, something in this direction is where we see a need, but your question about CAD, that's actually teacher suggested. The teachers proposed that to us, and they have a working background knowledge in that. And we actually have a standalone CAD class that we've kind of revamped that along the way. So that's kind of what this is. It's kind of a rebirth of our old CAD class, so.
I think I want to clarify for those that hear, this is one that does require an action, correct?
This
So we
will
need to
require-
discuss this, we need to vote upon this. If we're comfortable doing so, and ideally, the path would be to send this on to the committee of the whole to then discuss and ultimately approve it. So I think in order to do so, I think I need to take a first and a second motion, if the body is inclined to do so.
Are you going to do a motion for discussion or a motion for vote?
That's a good question. I thought we just discussed that, so
Yeah.
I know, we probably should have done a motion
That's all
first.
right. Motion to vote.
Okay, I will do this. I'd like to back up, if that's okay, and say, if I could take a motion from the body, if the body is so inclined, then I would like to open it up again for any discussion or questions that folks might have after we get the second, and then we'll take a vote, if that's okay.
So you open the motion, I can second? Is that?
I just need someone to first the
Oh,
motion,
so-
then
okay,
second the
first.
motion. Yep, that's okay. I'll take you as a first, Ms. Lennox. Thank you for that.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Frost. So again, I know we just discussed this, so we are all learning here a little bit, and I thank everybody for their patience. But again, I'll ask anybody if they have any questions or discussion items for Mr. Thomas or Ms. Brown on the subject of the Beverly High School programs of study.
So what exactly are we voting on, that we agree to add these for?
I think the idea is that we move this along to if the body feels inclined to do so, and this passes, that we're moving it along to the larger committee for further discussion, voting, and then approval of it.
Well, I think Lorgan had a
Yeah,
comment.
Ms. Sudak.
Not a question, just a comment. I'm very excited to hear of the early education pathway.
I saw you nodding. when
Yeah,
you said that.
extending. It's much needed in the field, so
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah, we're excited.
Thank you for that. Okay. So if it's okay, I'd like to call the roll for the motion to move the Beverly High School programs of study along to the committee of the whole for further discussion and potential approval. Ms. Catherine Frost.
Yes.
Ms. Madeline Lennox.
Yes.
Ms. Andrea Sherman.
Yes.
Ms. Lorgan Sudak.
Yes.
Ms. Nora McQuarrie.
Yes.
And Mr. Michael Cassidy.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes 7-0. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Thomas.
much. Good night.
Would you mind-
Okay. Next up on the agenda, we have just a few more minutes. We have a couple of policies that we need to review. The process for this would be to, I will start with policy IJOB. It's a community resource persons / speakers policy. Again, the procedure would be to accept a first and a second motion, and then I can open this up for discussion. If anybody does wish to, I want to just let everybody know that I think they do have the ability to make a motion to hold this for another evening. I want to recognize that we have a couple new resident reps. So if that is what the body feels is the best thing to do, we have that option. But this would be a first review for, again, the IJOB Community Resource Persons / Speakers Policy.
And if you notice, the MASC one there are no changes between the two on either of the policies tonight. They are the same. For new resident reps, if there are changes, we'll highlight them in the MASC version so that you can see what the differences are between them.
And the MASC is the Mass Association of School Committee. They do have policies that we use often as a template for our own policies. I think we sometimes do make edits or revisions to those. We also have our own policies, but in this case, we are using the MASC, Mass Association of School Committees policy for this purpose. And then we have the option to just make a motion if we feel comfortable with this, to mark this as reviewed and move it along to the committee of the whole, so that they can, God bless you, so that they then can review it, discuss it, and potentially approve it.
May I move that we,
You can if you wish to do so, sure. Is that a first motion?
Yes,
for?
please.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Frost.
thank you.
And I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lennox. Is there any discussion on this policy? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the roll. Ms. Catherine Frost,
Yes.
Ms. Madeline Lennox,
Yes.
Ms. Andrea Sherman, well, so it is true that technically you don't, but because you are a member of the body, we do as a courtesy to both the BTA representative and to the resident reps, we do ask for the vote. Technically, in our policy, the only votes that technically count are the school committee members, but you do, in this context, have the ability to either vote yes, no, or abstain.
Yes, then.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. I'm just making some notes here. Okay, let's see, that's 4. And then Ms. Lorgan Sudak,
Yes.
Ms. McQuarrie,
Yes.
Mr. Cassidy.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes 7-0. Okay. I just did that on my wrong form. Okay, so we have one more policy to review, and that is the IJOC, school volunteers. So in similar fashion, if the body feels so inclined, I can take a first motion, and then I'll need a second, and then we can open it up for discussion. I'm sorry, I'm getting there.
Oh, good. No,
Ms. Catherine Frost.
I move that we,
Okay, I'll take my first from Ms. Catherine Frost.
And I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Lennox. Are there any questions or comments on this policy? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Sudak.
I'm assuming this is district-wide, not for specific grade.
That's a great
or
question.
subjects.
Yep, so our policy, all the policies in our policy manual are district-wide policies. Yep, that's a good question. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, the motion is to pass the policy IJOC for school volunteers along to the larger school committee body, committee of the whole for review, discussion, and approval. So I will call the roll. Ms. Catherine Frost,
yes.
Ms. Madeline Lennox,
Yes.
Ms. Andrea Sherman. Yes. Ms. Sudak,
Yes.
Ms. McQuarrie,
Yes.
and Mr. Cassidy.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Okay. So that has brought us to the end of our CISL meeting tonight. In order to adjourn, again, I do need a first and a second, and then we can move along to our next meeting.
I'll make the motion to be first. I'll be first.
Thank you, Ms. Lennox.
I will second to adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Frost. That motion, oh wait, sorry. I think I can do all in favor, technically, actually. All in favor? That passes 7-0. We are adjourned at 7:19 PM.
Thank you, sir. Okay, hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. And welcome to the Beverly School Committee meetings, the Beverly School Committee's meeting of the whole. Today is February 4th, and we are meeting in a hybrid remote model using a remote meeting application, allowing for remote participation and for public access to the open portions of our meeting. BevCam is streaming and broadcasting our meeting tonight, Channel 6 and HD 1073. Thank you, BevCam. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, the requirement that a quorum of the public body and the chair be physically present at the meeting location remains suspended. Tonight, actually, we have no one participating remotely. If we did, I would be calling them by name and asking them to unmute and respond, that we could make sure that they could hear us and we could hear them. And when people attend via the remote platform, we have, if they're a voting member, then those votes must be done via roll call. Okay, so because we don't have anybody remote, Dr. Cushing, I don't see anything on the screen. We're not going to have to deal with that little technicality. Okay, so our first order of business is our call to order, which I am doing right now, and our Pledge of Allegiance. And at the risk of sending Miss Quill over the edge, I wish to ask her to lead us this evening in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Cushing, Dr. Cushing, if you would be so kind as to share the agenda on, maybe that's the first page of your presentation. Do you have that? No, you don't have that.
I can get it fairly quickly.
No, that's all right. So I'm just going to really quickly run through. I love that our city council president does this as a little preview of what our agenda says, and then we'll get after it. We're going to recognize some students. We're going to have a report from Miss Delia. We're going to talk about our meeting minutes. We have an open forum for resident voice. When last I looked, we had no one signed up, and I had not yet gotten any emails from the resident voice email list. We have warrants by consensus, a superintendent report, a school committee president report, and luckily this evening we get to hear from each of our subcommittee chairs. And then finally, communications, if anybody has any, and then we do have an executive session on our docket this evening. And sometimes we put that on there and then we decide we don't need to go in there, but we do have an executive session this evening. Okay, so with that introduction, Dr. Cushing, do we have our Project 351? Are we talking about Project 351? Because I don't see anyone.
They are not here, but they will be at the next meeting.
Okay, so we're just going to table this whole item?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will take a moment and say, if you don't know what Project 351 is, I very strongly suggest you Google it. It's a wonderful program. Each of the 351 communities across the Commonwealth pick one 8th grader. Our middle school principal picks an 8th grader. That 8th grader goes to the State House with the other 350 ambassadors, that's what they're called, and they do a day of service. They learn about community service. They come back to the community. They continue to do community service. And we have, and then you can still be involved after you're an 8th grader, kind of as a mentor. And so it's a really good program. It does a lot of wonderful things. So we'll celebrate our 351 ambassador at our next meeting. Excuse me. Next, Delia, it's your turn.
Thank you. The high school is having a busy winter. Winter sports teams are still busy in the middle of their seasons. Rehearsals for both the spring musical and fall Drama Fest play competition are still underway. Seniors are continuing to prepare for their REACH internships with deadlines to get things in March. Guidance is now working with underclassmen to prepare for post-high school planning and getting ready for course selection, which is coming up soon. Third quarter report cards were posted yesterday for students and families to view. This month, Career Day is coming up. The most important grade at Career Day is the juniors, where they attend 2 different presentations where groups of professionals present about their jobs and paths to get them. And on February 12th, parents and guardians have the opportunity to come meet with their children's teachers. All teachers will be in the field house, and adults can sign up for a 5-minute slot with each teacher. Grade 11 families will also have the opportunity to attend a college planning night before this. Thank you.
Fantastic. Excuse me, I have this lovely voice today. And I believe that we always say to you, please run away, go do your homework. Thank you for coming. And in another part of the meeting, I'm going to mention the fact that you and I are working together to try to find a date to continue the student advisory portion of our relationship. All right, appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Okay. Our next item on our agenda is approval of the meeting records from the January 14th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Coelho. I'm looking, I see a hand up over there. I saw Ms. Ducharme's hand first.
Madam President, I have a couple of edits that are, I think, really just some spelling corrections. And then I guess I have a technicality question. Is it okay if I go down the pages and highlight where I think we need to make some changes? Say, like, for example, in the third sentence of the very first paragraph, my last name is D-U-C-H. Again, not a big deal at all. And then I think we actually have Karen's name spelled incorrectly a couple times, K. Yeah,
Double A. Double A.
And I missed that. I don't even know anymore.
So I understand. So, Madam President, so the second part where I've noticed Karen's name spelled incorrectly is under the section where we talk about the approval of Mr. Paul Manzo to serve on the Essex North Shore Agriculture and Technical School Committee for a 3rd term. Karen's name, Kaarin, right? Okay. And then down a little bit further, I guess I am asking a technical question where we talked about Mr. Macaulay's taking advantage of his opportunity to speak to us. We, in the minutes, name his address, and I wonder if perhaps going forward, could we say participant stated his address instead of putting the address in the minutes? Is that something that we can do?
They have to say
The
their
actual
address.
address?
So actually I was at City
We
Council
have to
Monday
state
night
it.
and
I know that, yeah.
somebody said, I live in Maine, so you don't need my address, right? So I think I would have to ask the city
Okay.
solicitor to be super sure whether that detail needs to be in our meeting minutes or not. And so I'm happy to take that action item.
If it's okay with you, Madam President, since I suggested the problem, I'm happy to be part of the solution. I don't mind reaching out to her and then coming back with the answer, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Why would I say no to that?
And then I think where we talk about the CPAC, I make this mistake all the time. It's not, the abbreviation is not SPAC, it's SEPAC. PAC. That's underneath where we talk about Mr. Cawley's discussion. And then Ms. Robinson's name, again, when we're talking about the school calendar for the fiscal year 26-27, a motion was made by Ms. Robinson. Again, I think we need to correct the spelling of her name, Kaarin. And then down under chair updates, underneath that section, we start another paragraph where we talk about Ms. Robinson and the spelling of her name.
There is something to be said for consistency.
I want to also recognize that in the CISL meeting, for the minutes that I prepared, I also had to make some very similar corrections to spellings of names, and so I get it, it happens. And so, again, thank you for preparation of the minutes. Those are my suggested edits.
All right, I think that procedurally, I'm looking to you, Mr. Mayor. Do I need a motion to accept those based on the fact that they're really all just typos?
I think so.
as I get more familiar with Robert here and his rules.
I heard Ms. Ducharme ask whether we could remove Mr. Macaulay's address. I think you're getting at just keep giving people some privacy. Thanks.
I think what I'm getting at is giving some sense of privacy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
part of what,
And I think you're right. I think
yeah.
so. If you get the feedback from the solicitor that it's not a problem, then that also is part of your motion.
Okay.
So she's looking to amend the earlier motion by proposing these edits.
Bless you.
Do we have a motion, do we have a first on the table for approval of the minutes already?
For
We do.
approval.
We have a first and a second. Okay, so I can't make another motion.
No, we could.
No, I guess I was gonna,
Table.
I'm going to rescind my motion if somebody
Sometimes we
rescinds
use
their
the word
second.
withdraw, right? You're withdrawing your motion.
Rescind, withdraw,
Okay, just checking.
get my thesaurus.
so if he's rescinded that, Madam President, can I make a motion to table these minutes until we get some clarity? Because I think this is a question that might be worth having some clarity on going forward. I noticed that at the city council meeting on Monday, that someone that came to the podium said my address is on record.
Yes, they did.
I would like to move all those edits
Yep.
to the minutes. If somebody wants a second, then you could also just table the whole thing, but now it's been amended. So everything you just went through is part of it.
Yep, so I'd have to state the changes again. But what I am proposing as a motion is that we table this until we get some clarity.
Then you got to go through it all again. That's fine.
That's
It just
true.
seems-
Unnecessary? Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Taylor, also after he silences his cell phone, is going to, he has a set of changes as well. And I would say, as a general rule of thumb, administratively, especially typos can be taken care of. You can send those, if you're reviewing your packet, you can send those to Ms. Quill ahead of time. And so if, they happen, goodness gracious, I'm a horrible typer. So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everybody again for putting up with the fact that I haven't been here and offering me grace, and I'm going to do my best to offer everybody else grace, and we're going to figure things out. Everybody here, with the exception of Ms. Robinson and Mr. Mayor, are in a new position.
Ms. Coelho.
Right?
Yep.
No, because she's a chair now, and she hadn't been a
sorry.
chair before,
Okay,
right?
got it,
So,
sorry.
so we all just going to have to figure some things out. So I heard you make a motion to table the approval of these meeting minutes until our next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Are you questioning yourself now, Ms. Ducharme?
No.
Okay, there is a motion on the the original motion from the mayor, thank you, was rescinded, withdrawn. The new motion is that we table the approval of these meeting minutes till our next meeting, seconded by Ms. Coelho. Any comments, questions? Yes, Mr. Taylor?
Could I just enumerate some issues I had so that I could get them out? Because I think this will affect future minutes going forward. But this might not be the time, and you could tell me.
I have not yet called for the vote, so sure, the floor is yours.
Floor is yours. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, President Visnick. I think it would also be helpful to clarify the members present, because there were many votes that reference 8-0, whereas there are listed in the minutes 10 members who are present. And somebody who's reading this could be like, well, why wasn't the vote 10-0? Or why is the vote 7-1? And what's going on there? The other thing that I wanted to reference is, other than a typo, Mr. Macaulay took time out of his day to come and speak to us, and I appreciate Ms. Ducharme's referencing that it was SEPAC, not CPAC. But I think it's also important to reference in those meeting minutes that it's the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee that he was speaking from. So I think that's really important, not the Community Preservation Act Committee. And Ms. Quill, I thank you so much. Oh, and the other thing is, let's get our titles right, because Ms. Quill, I think you're the executive assistant to the superintendent. Is that correct? That's correct. So I want to make sure that we get our minutes right and we don't call you the administrative assistant to the superintendent. Because you were shorting yourself.
That's very kind. We don't want to sell anybody short. And I think, Mr. Taylor, at the top of the meeting minutes, it says who was present and who was absent. That's way up at the top, so it's not going to be in every vote. If I'm looking at the correct set. Regardless, we'll make sure that that is denoted, certainly on the subcommittee meeting minutes that way. Okay, so
What I was saying, Ms. Visnick, is that it does have members participating, and it has a section called also participating. And I'm saying that some of the individuals who are listed as members participating should be moved down to the also participating.
okay. All right, we'll work on ironing out those details. Right now, there's a motion on the table to table the approval of these meeting minutes until our next meeting. It's been seconded. Any other further discussion, questions? All those in favor of tabling? Any opposed? That motion passes 9. My bean counter, my number one bean counter. I count 9 people who get to vote at this table. You said 10. I'm a little nervous.
8.
Yes, Ms. Coelho.
So, Mr. Taylor, it does have X amount of members under the members participating because Dr. Cushing is one of the main members. He is just not a voting member.
But he's not a school committee member.
Oh, but he is under members participating. He is a
Right,
main
so I think that,
participating
okay,
member under the-
so that, I think, is part of John's point, is that he should be under others. Maybe we'll give him his whole own category. All right, if we don't get going, we are never getting out of here tonight, so that took far too long. All right, the next item on the agenda is open forum for resident voice. There is no one signed up there. However, there are 3 people in the audience. Do any of you want to talk, even though you didn't sign up yet? Okay, just checking. Okay, and I have no emails from residentvoice@beverlyschools.org to read aloud. Next item on our agenda, items by consensus. The motion, I'm looking for a motion, and the motion is on the agenda. If someone wants to make that motion to accept the items by consensus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Ms. Coelho and Ms. Ducharme, I will read the motion for those playing along at home. Motion to approve the items by consensus as outlined below. There are 5 warrants, and I'm really hoping that over in FNF land today, you guys talked about the procedure for approving these warrants. I noticed that while I was gone, there were some reservations about that. I'm hoping we're moving towards resolving those reservations. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments, questions? Yes, Mr. Taylor. Microphone.
Sorry. President Visnick, there was conversation about allowing other members of the school committee to have access to some financial through the provision of transparency in government, and that's an important concept that we all share here in Beverly. That has not happened, and I voted against the warrants previously, and I intend to do so again today.
Okay. And so again, for everybody else, or maybe if you're not on FNF, I think that Mr. Taylor and I had a conversation that I think was helpful for the public. There is a very prescribed process. There are a majority of us, there is a quorum of the people in this room right now who get to see every single bill that gets paid every week, and we sign off on those. They kind of get rolled up together and then presented here. And so we can absolutely talk about people who are not the signers having view access to those bill-by-bill payments, and we have to have the whole conversation around the fact that sometimes there is personally identifiable information in that packet, and in essence, it's almost like having information in an executive session. It is meant to stay in the committee for your use as a financial oversight. So I did not yet grant that access. I wasn't sure what was going to happen at F&F tonight, if those conversations would be quote-unquote enough, or if we wanted to take this next step. Yes, Ms. Robinson, with 2 A's.
Thank you for recognizing that. Is it possible, so until a few years ago, we just went to the office and looked at the warrants. Is it possible that anybody who wants to could still, anybody on the school committee who wants to could just go and take a look at the book? Or does that still exist?
Oh,
If they chose to do so?
I believe Ms. Puglisi is going to answer you from the back row with her own microphone.
Well, we don't have one back here at the kids' table yet. So, yes, that is still an option available if that is something that the committee wants to do. However, I would ask for a for heads up in that since we have moved to the electronic signature option, it has allowed a bit of an extended timeline for our processing of invoices. There is a very strict timeline in order for us to get our bills over to City Hall for the entire process to be done. And so that really means that the window of available time would be time where the business office is open, so between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., and that would likely be on the Tuesday, at which point the warrants then need to go. So it is not that we could just hold it and have it available. We would need to make sure that we have enough time that if this is something that the committee would want to allow, that we would have structures in place to make sure, just to provide timing wise.
Are you wishing to look at the paper yourself versus DocuSign? You are a signer, so you already have access to DocuSign, right?
Exactly. I was asking for people who are not signing the
Okay,
warrants,
great.
if they wanted to have that option, maybe that would be
Versus
the.
DocuSign?
Yeah, so that way we don't have to be concerned with any.
Well, the PII is also, it's still applicable if you're looking at the physical bill versus if you were looking at the electronic copy of it on DocuSign, right? If you,
Okay.
some of them have PII, some of them don't.
Okay.
Right? Some of them say, Iron Tree Service because they did plowing for us, and we're not really worried about that. But some of them say transportation for child XYZ. And otherwise, we wouldn't know that child XYZ is even in a special education program, let alone that they're placed elsewhere, let alone that they get transportation.
So
right?
it's not okay for anybody on the school committee to see that?
It is absolutely okay for everyone to see that, as long as we've had some amount of training that we understand that the information there is potentially personally identifiable and needs to be respected. Yes, Miss Emma from the back row.
So to a certain extent, guidance that I have been given in the past, legal guidance, has been that that information is, so again, a certain amount of that is available information, even in your capacity as school committee members, things that include things such as student names, SACIDs, things relative to special education. If there is a reimbursement, the address to which that reimbursement is made is not information that's available to you. Similarly, the who on an unemployment bill would not be information that's available in this capacity. So there would still be information that would require redaction.
Is any of that, I know that names, I don't know that I've ever seen an address in the DocuSign. So what
Not in the
of the
DocuSign.
list that you just named, what is potentially problematic for anybody at this table?
So in the DocuSign, right, so the DocuSign, we provide the cover sheet, we provide the bill-by-bill detail, but it does not include copies of the actual invoices.
Right.
And so the copies of the actual invoices that would be available for review, should somebody come into the office, which I believe was the historic standing practice, those invoices may include more specific information, such as, that transportation detail, such as names of students on tuition bills, or names of students referenced in purchase order descriptions, because it's useful for internal purposes in in any number of instances.
So then would it be do you have a preference about which of these two paths we take forward?
I am happy to accommodate the committee in the way that they want. However, I just, again, part of that would require a certain amount of additional redaction that we have at this point in time because of the DocuSign path forward, right, where we are not providing bill by bill detail. We're providing that summary language that's included underneath each line. We have not needed to go forward that path all the way. We do redact, get student names on invoices anyway, because again, they become a record document. It's not even information that we share with the city auditor's office when they review our bills. It is not public information by way of that. So portion of that is still redacted. Other information is not redacted, such as names on unemployment bills or things like that.
So you don't have a preference?
I have an acknowledgement that there will be additional work by virtue of redaction should the path forward be to review bill by bill.
On paper?
On paper, or in any capacity.
Ms.
Even if it's
Ducharme,
a digital capacity for a bill by bill review, will require additional responsibilities in redaction to make sure.
Ms. Ducharme, I saw your hand first.
I have a question and then potentially a follow-up question. I understand that we can't wait until a larger meeting like this to pay our bills, which is why we need to have a quorum of the committee be recipients of the DocuSign document so that we can sign that, you guys pay your bills, and then we have an opportunity as a larger committee to see from a high level the warrant numbers and the amounts that are getting paid. The first part of my question to you is the supporting documentation that goes along with the DocuSign. I've looked at it. I don't think that has too much PII in there. I recognize that I saw some student names, but I have not seen a line where it recognizes, for example, a student name tied to out-of-district placement for a special education need. So I guess to be more succinct with my question, is there concern that the follow-up information that you provide with the DocuSign, is that information you're comfortable sharing with the rest of the committee?
Yes.
Okay. So if I could make a follow-up question to that, is that level of information something that, Mr. Taylor, I understand why you're bringing up the question. Is your question about seeing that level of information, or do you want all the ultimate detail that we're going to require the redacting?
I don't know what level of information is provided in the DocuSign, but I do have another very big concern.
Okay.
So it sounds like, and Ms. Puglisi, correct me if I'm wrong, that certain address information for vendors would not be provided, so that if, for instance, large checks were being sent to an address on Cole Street, that would be very concerning to certain committee members. Not me, but others perhaps. Is that true that vendor addresses are not disclosed to the
So
committee?
vendor addresses are not included on the report that is sent via DocuSign, but not because that is not information that could be shared otherwise. The only time a vendor address would not be shared is if that vendor were perhaps a parent who had submitted for a reimbursement subsequent to some sort of agreement by virtue of special education, where inferences could be made. So again, like if for instance, Emma Puglisi needed to take something to the UPS store to have mailed out, and I need to request a reimbursement, my name is perfectly fine to be included. My address is perfectly fine to be included from the perspective relative to protecting PII and confidential student information. However, in the event that I had a student that had, and I had an agreement with the district that resulted in some sort of compensatory services, and I was being reimbursed for something by virtue of special education, there could be the inference that somebody who knows my name, might know my child's name, might be able to see that there's an SP as the leading two numbers and be able to infer that there is something there related to special education, and then be able to make an inference relative to my child, which is not information they're entitled to.
Do you understand that distinction? Do you understand that distinction, Mr. Taylor?
I do. I think it is a fundamental truth in internal control that we should validate the invoices, not every invoice, but if, for instance, I could see a situation where, I'm sorry, let me rephrase my statement. I understand the situation where privacy needs to be respected for parents. And I think we need to balance transparency in finance for our community.
All right, so, Mr. Mayor, I saw your hand up. Do you still have something you wish to add to the conversation? Ms. Robinson, yes?
I just wanted to say my suggestion was to make things easier for Ms. Puglisi, not to make things more challenging.
I appreciate that. So I think what we will try as a first swipe is to give those members who are not signers who want to see the DocuSign document, we will give you access to that. And then we'll see if that quenches your thirst. Okay, so do I have a motion on this? Who was keeping my meeting minutes for me this meeting? Okay. All right, so the motion is that we approve the items by consensus as outlined below in your packet. There are 5 warrants lettered A through D. There's a motion on the floor. Any further conversation? All those in favor? All those opposed? That passes 8-1. Mr. Taylor, I really do appreciate, and we've had this conversation, I do appreciate your attention to detail in this area. Next item on our agenda is a superintendent report. Dun, 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 dun.
Trying with Zoom. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work.
You have that line in your forehead. I'm worried you're Harry Potter.
Let's hold on here. We got to slideshow this. Let's see. I like that. Is this on purpose? That's a good one. I like that. I'm not sure how it's going. All right. No, you don't. It's all right. We'll try it. I mean, so I want to thank everybody for your time this evening. Really appreciate the robust discussion thus far. I want to take a moment just to quickly go over my report, which aligns to our agenda, perhaps out of order, but school safety and security, district-wide safety presentation. Let me just close this out here. District-wide safety presentation that's upcoming, middle school parking lot flood, February 5th, finance forum, February 27th, district calendar. The MTSS BSST SE resolution as initially presented on September 10th, 2025, with edits and changes. Grant funded position for approval that I believe was approved at FNF. Thank you. And initial budget priorities and the biggest invitation ever. I will show you that in just a second, but just let me actually hold on here. All right. And because the way the light was hitting my forehead, I'm not a huge fan of that either. So here we go. All right. All right. So earlier this week, I shared an email that I believe I put everyone on this committee on. I also shared it with the Beverly City Council as a courtesy. And so what was to be a mid-year just reminder for all staff to make sure they're wearing their district-issued badges and identifications. Also make sure that all visitors enter through the front doors and are properly checked in through our main offices. And also for us to understand that safety and security is a shared responsibility for all members of the district staff. I also included this statement for our staff, and we'll be sharing out a more robust statement with the community in my Friday memo this week. As you've seen across the country, there have been protests and actions by agents of our government, and I'll read this as stated to the faculty and staff of our district. I want to take this opportunity to clearly express our district-wide support for immigrant and undocumented students. Besides the fact that such support is settled case law as established in Plyler versus Doe, a 1982 Supreme Court decision from Texas, this is the right thing for us as educators to be doing. So basically, in our lives, we can do things right, or we can also do right things. And I'm a firm believer that we should be doing right things. As an educational organization, we have a greater responsibility and a more profound responsibility to make sure that we are standing up for and protecting those traditionally marginalized populations. So continuing with the reading, we educate the students in our schools, all of them. The update this week for the district will have a similar message. Similar to the messaging around our LGBTQIA plus students, we are obligated to operate in this manner. While physicians take a Hippocratic oath, educators should consider a similar oath, hyperlinked in there to one that I believe a professor at USC has published, that has special obligations for those students under our care and supervision. As a district, our commitment remains steadfast to the children residing in Beverly, that they will be welcomed in our public schools, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, or immigrant status. The motto of this great nation, E Pluribus Unum, clearly demonstrates that our diversity is our greatest strength. I'd also like to thank Dr. Zreich of the Salem Public Schools for inspiration for a message that he put out or late or middle of last month for kind of serving as an inspiration to go public with this. Also, as we talk about school safety and security, myself, the SROs, and Aaron Fitzpatrick, thank you, sorry, I had a lot of Fitzes in my head today. We will be presenting a district-wide school safety presentation, really covering the standard response protocol, which is from the I Love You Guys organization. If you search iloveyouguys.org, you'll be able to do a lot of your own research and just education as well. They have a lot of free resources on there. I Love You Guys came out of the Platte Canyon hostage taking, in which the I Love You Guys was the last text message sent by the founder's daughter, as she and the hostage taker were the only two fatalities in that situation. It's really heart-wrenching when you read about it, or in my case, was trained by the hostage negotiator there. So we will be providing that information coming up, and that will be held on February 26th, 2026 via Zoom. And, we have up to, I think, 300 or 500 people who can attend. We'll record. We'll make sure that that is well publicized and well out there. But asking parents to come out, I find remote to actually be very beneficial as people are dealing with bedtime, dinner time, or whatever time it might be in your personal lives. Cost savings. This is almost a preemptive cost savings. So it was a rough week for Cabot Street. And that's my next slide. But I want to take a moment to specifically thank and commend Peter Green, again, Jake Pike, and Jay Nardella, our assistant facilities director. So a water main broke on Saturday evening, and by happenstance, the sister of one of these people noticed the flood happening, was able to help notify. I'm sure other people notified as well, but was able to call. And we were able to have some people on scene. They built, using salt bags, a barricade at the front doors. About 4 inches of water was piled up at the front doors of the middle school, and a breach to the facility would have just been devastating. All right. So the simple fact of the matter is that while this would have been a fun opportunity to offer community skating, the reality is that with Iron Tree, with Mike Collins, with Jake Pike, Jay Nardella, Peter Green, literally pushing the freezing slush away from the doors, and then several hours and, into Sunday night and Saturday morning, other custodians being on scene earlier to salt, resalt, iron tree, from what I was told, or city personnel scraping down the ice so that front parking lot, which is just out here in front of the school, could actually be used. Really amazing. The damage to the school would have been atrocious, and the ability to have school on Monday or Tuesday would have been seriously in question. Having personally gone through 5 days of a facility failure in my personal life, the fact that we were able to avoid that is really amazing and is a true testament to Peter Green, Jake Pike, Jay Nardella, and anyone on the city side who came in to help that. I see Mr. Mayor's hand.
Do you mind if I jump in with the thanks? Because our water department, unfortunately, it's typical at this time of year in New England with water mains, they burst. And our water department are out too many nights during the winter, and they were out most of the night this time. So they work really hard, and they get called away in kind of the worst of weather. So thanks for bringing this all up. I just want to make sure that we include thanks to them.
I really appreciate that. And, so many people were out late plowing, clearing bus stops, clearing sidewalks. I mean, it's been an intensive week for DPS and for school personnel. And, just also moving on to the rough week on Cabot, truck driver, from what I understand, had a momentary lapse and took out a couple of telephone poles on Cabot Street. And so last week we had to close down Cabot Street for dismissal. Got a message out, we're really able to help divert. It caused some bus delays, but we've really been trying to communicate with families around transportation, putting out messages when there are going to be issues, and letting people know when the problems are. The Beverly police were really great in helping to direct our walkers and also help our buses get out. While they could not turn left on Cabot out of the school, they were able to turn right and move around. The traffic in and around Belt Street and New Belt Street was reminded me of the old Central Artery days, but it just shows how much a community can come together on these things. So just wanted to mention that as well. Tomorrow evening, I mentioned this on January 14th, tomorrow evening there will be a budget forum hosted by State Rep Hannah Bowen at the Ryleside Civic Center from 6 to 7:30 p.m. That's at 7 Eleanor Ave in Beverly. The superintendent of the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District, as well as several other people, will be on site, will be present to talk about this conversation and challenges facing education funding.
I just wanted to know if that was going to be streamed on BevCam. Somebody asked me that.
Did we get a response on that?
I did not get a response yet, actually.
Okay.
I received that email an email as well. I don't know if it was the same person because it was just to me, but I am hoping that it will be streamed. But we were not the organizers of; we are participants of. So I'm hopeful, but we'll see. All right. On to the district calendar. So in your packets, you have a draft copy. I want to thank members of our administrative team, central office team, Andrea Sherman, and others, just for really looking through the calendar. So in my entry planning before I even was appointed, one of the things I did, and many of you know, was watch a lot of school committee meetings. I remember hearing people talk about how much they appreciated and liked the center column, so that images, so that you could read down nice and easy. I don't know the name of this company that puts out these calendars for free that you can automatically update very easily in Google Sheets. But I wanted to update our calendar so that it wasn't just us entering dates by manual. You enter the start year, the start month, the start day, and it will automatically populate a calendar for you. We took the important dates, put those at the top, have the early release days coded with what they're being used for, so parents are well aware. We took one of the early release days from May, moved it to March for additional family and caregiver conferences to give time for our middle and elementary schools for those conferences, and have color-coded everything, and have the calendar key at the bottom. We maintained the regular school hours, the early release hours, and just tried to really provide a very clear, very succinct, color-coded document for everyone to be able to have. So I am seeking approval. You've already approved the start day, which was greatly appreciated at our January 14th meeting, if I remember correctly. Was it that long ago? Anyway,
Approval.
seeking approval of the school calendar for the upcoming school year.
Mr. Mayor, did I hear you make a
Yes,
motion?
I did move it, yes. Can I ask a question now?
Now that it's open for discussion, now that there's a motion on the floor, yes, you may. Please do. John, I saw your hand.
Where did the September 22nd Professional Development Day come from? How was that decision made?
So, we had really toyed with it in March and February, but actually January. We had looked at January and March, but January with high school exams, it really became tenuous there, and then March felt really late in the year. The last year, it was also in September, so mirroring that, that's where that came in.
Got to put it somewhere, right? And you want to get some value out of it, so sometimes closer to the beginning of the year, better in that sense?
Yes.
Can I also just flag, and I'm sure you already know this, but maybe for everybody, because it's not listed on its own, right? That September 1st, which is one of the two beginning of the year PD days for staff, is primary election day.
I can actually list that in that center column under that blue, so that it is clear. They were listed, separated out on this year's calendar at the bottom. So I am happy to do that as well.
I think it makes sense. And then November, what is it, November 3rd?
Yes.
I mentioned the 1st as much as anything because staff will be in all schools that day at some point during the day, right?
Yes.
And several of the schools will be polling places. We have no idea. It may be a very unoccupied primary day. Just don't know until races are set or not set. Right? So it could be a busy one. It's a gubernatorial year, but I don't know what that means for primaries.
It's also a Senate election, though, with
Oh,
some
there you
contenders.
are. We're going to have a U.S. Senate primary on the Democratic side anyway.
Right.
It's a very good point.
So I can definitely put those in there.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, I know there are.
Mr. Taylor?
I know there are very mixed feelings around having people in the schools on primary and election days. I think one of the arguments for having people in the schools during these days is that it gets and invites our community into seeing our educational institutions. But I did want to ask about that November date for that reason. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for bringing that up.
No, I guess you're asking about it in terms of you want to have the discussion about whether we should hold school that day?
I am not seeking a further discussion about those dates, no.
Okay, fantastic. I'm looking around the room. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? There's a motion on the table by Mr. Mayor. I believe Ms. Ducharme, did you second? Is that the voice I heard down there?
Yes.
Seeing no further questions, vote to approve the school calendar as presented. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0.
Thank you very much. Moving forward. So, as you all know, we had our first snow day, and unfortunately, our second snow day. There may have been a side pact from the North Shore superintendents to not have school after the Patriots game coming up, Super Bowl. However, that second snow day just proved too persnickety. I will say I kind of called that one, though, in a meeting, and everyone kind of poo-pooed me, but it did come to fruition. I waited, in all honesty, I did an anatomy of the snow day so that people understand that I was desperate to preserve that second snow day because now we are up against June 18th. Will now be the last day of school. If we have another school day of cancellation for whatever reason, we will tip into Juneteenth, which will then put us over into the weekend for the next 2 school years, this one inclusive. We will be up against next year. Observation of Juneteenth will be on Friday, June 18th. So just so everyone's aware, one more school day puts us into that almost last week of June for this year. Yes.
Do we
sorry.
have to do that? Or can we choose to put it onto the Monday? I feel like that's happened before.
The federal observation
Yeah.
for next year is listed as the Friday.
Okay.
I would
So no,
also
we're not
appreciate for
changing.
calendar
We,
purposes.
I mean, right. Well, we did, as a body, choose to recognize Juneteenth well before our state did, before the feds did. So it could have been one of the years that we were making our own rules, but now we have to follow other people's rules. It's nice to be a trailblazer.
So this has been published out to families. Everybody should know. But if we do have any more days, the pattern is looking like next Thursday and Friday might have something, but that may also push off into Friday night into Saturday. So, and that's still a long way away. Exactly. All right. In this packet is a first reading for the viewing public. I've put in a QR code. Also, this graphic, if you click it when this is published online, will take you to the actual resolution. So sharing with this body for the resolution to identify and support struggling learners and students. A considerable amount of work went into this in the first 2 meetings by the MTSS, Multi-Tier System of Supports, Beverly Student Support Team, and Special Education Commission that was authorized by this body and requested thereof me to hold meetings. One audience member here is a member of that, as are members of this body. But so a significant amount of work has gone into this to really take into consideration the language that was used, to update the priorities. And there is no vote on this right now. I am simply presenting it for a first reading, but the commission has all stated, and if I'm incorrect in this, but has all stated that they are behind this and support this resolution. And so the reason why we're doing it as a first reading is because of the edits that were made from the September 10th version, as well as the fact that there are now many new members to this body. So wanted to present this as the first reading.
We'll translate that. I'll be very explicit. So then at our next meeting, this will come before us for a vote. I would ask that you guys really read through it and bring any questions, concerns, ready yourselves to have a conversation about it if you have any questions or concerns. So on our next meeting, we will be looking to discuss this and possibly vote on it as a body.
At FNF this evening, a new position, grant funded, was approved. Yep, just double checking. It was a long time ago from when I double checked previously, so now triple checked. Beverly High School is seeking a this is pulled from the job description. Beverly High School is seeking a highly organized, student-centered early college program coordinator to lead and support our early college dual enrollment initiatives. The coordinator will work closely with students, families, high school staff, and local college partners to ensure that students successfully access, navigate, and complete early college courses aligned with career pathways. This role blends the academic advising, program coordination, data tracking, and partnership management to expand equitable access to post-secondary opportunities. Across the state, these are positions that have been in effect for multiple years now for many schools. Beverly is very fortunate to have been afforded a grant in this area. Schools also are, not saying using grant funding or anything for this, but are actually developing logo and gear to basically say Beverly Early College as a way to further support and promote this for students who are taking on these college post-secondary career, post-secondary opportunities while still a high school student. So seeking approval of this position.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Taylor, is your hand up, or are you just putting your vest on?
I just was raising my hand for whatever reason.
Okay, maybe doing the wave. Okay, yes, Ms. Ducharme.
I have a question about the grant funding and the position. I think the answer is probably going to be that this position will be funded by the grant for a period of time, but that the hope is that this position will be one that we eventually build into the operating budget such that that position will continue to be filled. And I wondered if you could talk on that for a second.
Actually, Ms. Puglisi.
Yes, so this is a capacity building grant. So DESE very often, this is a strategy that they often employ. They call them implementation grants. We have one currently in its third year for our pathways at the high school. This is a separate one. So we are, districts are eligible for up to $125,000 in years 1 or 2 of their designation as an early college program. This is year 1 for Beverly Public Schools. In years 3 and beyond, beyond of designation, districts are eligible for up to $80,000 in grant funding. However, with the note that the state does prioritize funding to districts in years 1 and 2 of that designation. So this funding, again, is intended to be on-ramp to help us build capacity, to help us build structures and systems. We did have a robust conversation at FNF regarding just that thing. And so at which point in time, should there not be sufficient grant funding to support this position, then it would, again, through conversations of the administration as part of the budget process, come forward if there's, if the position is still valuable and, necessitated by all the metrics that we look at when we look at, how we evaluate positions during the budget process, it would be then folded into the budget. However, this grant, I'm not sure how long it's been going on, but again, they say year 3 and beyond. So there is not a limited cap. It's not like up to 5 years, as far as I'm aware, in which grant funding could be available. So there is the possibility that this is somewhat sustained in some capacity by the state. Again, and so the grant funding that we receive supports district costs relative to this program, such as this position, transportation of students, but they also support the early college program by paying the tuition directly to the higher education institutions. And so there would have to be some amount of state funding in the mix for the continuation of early college as a state-funded program to continue, which does give me hope of the promise that the grant would continue to exist on our side as well.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Oh, do you have a follow-up, Lindsay?
I did a follow-up, if Mr. Mayor doesn't mind. Will the person that is intended to fill this position be made aware of what you just explained?
If I could just address that, we don't know of a person yet. So once we job post, and whoever is hired, we will definitely make aware, like grant funding, and that the district will have to evaluate and see where the program is to make sure that it fits within the budget priorities moving forward.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Madam President. So how many years is this first grant award for?
The first grant award is only for this 1 year. So the grant, so like with the Pathways grant, we were given 3 years award at one. So we had incremental drawdowns, but we were guaranteed funds for 3 years. This funding guarantee, what they call the GAN, the grant award letter, is only for the 12-month period.
Yeah.
However, all of the conversations that we have had with our partners at DESE regarding the administration of this grant has led myself and Mr. Thomas to believe that there should not be concern around year 2.
Okay, but we'll need to apply again, and it's a competitive grant.
It's an entitlement. So this is actually categorized, now that we've been approved, in DESE, they have categorized this under our entitlement grants. So in my grant system, which talks to the state, it is in the same section of entitlement grants as our title grants and our special education IDEA grants.
So you're saying as long as DESE has the money next year, we'll get it again?
That is my understanding.
Yeah, and how, in what amount did we receive it?
$125,000 this year, which would again lead my expectation to be the same for next year.
And so the proposal for the position, what's the salary? Or is it a range, or what's in the proposal?
It would be on the Unit A scale.
Okay, that doesn't help
Well, it
me.
would be based on experience or whatever person comes in, putting them on the salary schedule.
What do you anticipate? Is it too broad a range to answer? Yes. Okay. All right, so then we hire somebody who knows they'd have a job for a year, hopefully longer, but that's all they know. And Ms. Puglisi, you said we would spend some of that grant money on transportation, some on tuition. How else does tuition get paid? I mean, there's not an added expense beyond, there's not an added expense to the district in this school year.
Correct. So
Or this, is it a 12-month, like now for 12 months?
it's through June 30th. We can, if we don't anticipate we will have spent all the funds by August 31st, we can do an amendment in the spring to allow for the spending in summer of FY26, but that's this grant award period. These funds could not be spent as of September 1st.
They have to also be spent, this is odd. We just received a grant.
So we
that we need to
received-
spend by the end of this fiscal year, this
So
June
we
30?
received the award in the fall.
Oh, we don't receive it until next
So
fiscal
we,
year.
yeah, so we received the award in the fall. My understanding is that the high school team spent the fall and the first semester building capacity, identifying students, all of which that work was able to be done with the staffing that's currently available. Now that they have a cohort that is starting this process, this position's need is a bit greater.
So whether it's next school year or in a subsequent year, is there a potential that the uptake is such that we would run out of money to support tuition? Are students and their families expected to pay some percentage of the tuition, or how is that?
So the
meant to go?
tuition is paid by the state directly to the higher education
Separate from the 125K?
Yes,
Thank you.
correct.
Yes, are you finished, Mr. Mayor?
I certainly am, thanks.
Ms. Robinson, did I see your hand? I got tricked, okay. Maybe it was John putting his hand up, pretending it was you. Okay. So there's a motion on the table. Any other questions?
If I could just add a comment. While at the table here, I texted a former colleague of mine in North Central Massachusetts. The school is currently in year 3 of the grant, still receiving grant funding, and fully expects to continue that grant funding through at least year 5. But just wanted to make sure that you had that real-time update from a colleague who has been doing the early college coordination for that school.
It's like real-time traffic. Do we get to hear the helicopter? You have to maybe get it. Okay. There's a motion on the table. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0.
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
This sounds awesome. Sounds like a great opportunity. Thanks.
If I, and I'll mention her by name, if I could bring Katie Kringen here, who worked with me as a 7th grade English teacher and a guidance counselor at Narragansett, where I worked for a number of years, she would extol the opportunities that this has provided for kids. Many of you may remember Massachusetts has had a dual enrollment program at community colleges or state universities. State colleges is what they used to be, but state universities for a long time. It was really amazing to see students. It was much more of an independent students going out and doing that on their own. Guidance officers would let students know about these things, but in all honesty, it was more independent. But seeing students go in their junior year, still be able to participate in high school activities, athletics, things of that nature, but while also attaining their high school diploma, also attaining their associate's degree at Mount Wachusett or North Shore Community College or Salem or Fitchburg. I'm referencing the colleges that I was very connected with. It's really a great opportunity, understanding the costs of post-secondary education. At that time, it was a really financially beneficial position for a lot of students. And the fact that the state has invested so much in free community college, nothing's really free, but in free community college for students to go to the mayor's point is really phenomenal.
Yes, Ms. Robinson?
I reached out to a colleague as well. And if you want to check it out, North Shore has a PowerPoint on how many students, like from each community, are sending students. So I know that the school I teach it's been there for, I'm not sure how many years, but so many years, like that and students getting 15 credits before they leave high school. So, and it's been a really wonderful program for these kids.
I'm old enough to remember when we had dual enrollment come on campus to Beverly High. We were very fortunate for a couple of years. So it is absolutely a fabulous opportunity. Thank you.
And so this is kind of like take development. So we've met as a leadership team with many of our principals, department heads, and others. So I want to be clear. I have met with several members of the school committee. I will be haunting others to sit down with you and go through your budget priorities if you have not had the opportunity to sit with me. I'm happy to go for coffee or for tea or for Diet Coke or for anything else, anywhere, anytime to talk budget priorities. I know I've met with most of you, and thank you for that. And I know everyone's really busy, but so we do still have some departmental meetings and different stuff like that. So the three initial budget priorities, as districts across the region, I know one colleague tonight is presenting almost 30 cuts. My mission is to not only protect what we have, but to also provide robust and diversified student learning opportunities, to provide comprehensive student supports in the least restrictive environment, and really look at long-range strategic planning and the prioritization for the Beverly Public Schools. And I'm happy to go into those much deeper at a future meeting, but wanted to provide some food for thought at this meeting, as I don't want us to get too far behind the eight ball with budget, but realize that my team, who's really phenomenal, Emma, Andre, Bethany, and Erin, as well as all of our school principals and directors, are working very hard to really understand what the Beverly Public Schools truly needs to provide the best opportunity forward, and partnering with whoever we need to make sure that that happens. So just wanted to make sure that you had some initial take in development. So if you get a hot take, this is the development portion of that. And then finally, I want to thank members of our preschool community for when I walked in the other day, last Friday. They were there with a massive banner-sized invitation to come to their Valentine's Day party on the Friday before Valentine's Day. So I'm looking forward to joining them and bringing a non-edible party favor. As much as I do love cupcakes, the reality is wellness. So want to make sure that this will be in my weekly memo as well. Even though it was taken last Friday, I just didn't have the ability to upload it last week in my memo, and they will be represented this week, and it was really great, and the teachers were awesome, and they were waiting there for me as I entered, so it was a lot of fun. And that is my report for this evening. And thank you for the consideration for that. I'm happy to answer any questions you may or may not have.
I'm looking around the table. Yes, Mr. Taylor?
Thank you, President Visnick. Thank you for your report. I did want to ask you, and this wasn't in your report, and maybe you want to present it at a different time, about restraints at our Cove School. If you'd like to speak about it at a different time. I sent you an email about it on January 22nd.
Yeah, as it's not specifically listed on the agenda, I'm happy to speak about it at a future date. However, I think that would be a topic not just for one school, but to understand restraints, reporting to state entities, and those types of, well, you don't know, but just a verbal crutch that I'm trying to eradicate. Restraints are something that schools and districts try to avoid as much as possible. There is specific safety care training for staff who have to participate in restraints, and would be happy to discuss that under an agenda item in a future meeting, and to perhaps have one of our trainers, if they're available, also speak about it from that perspective.
All right, any other questions for Dr. Cushing? All right, seeing none. Next item on our agenda is a school committee president update. I would like to echo my appreciation yet again for all the members as we get up and running. Ms. Quill and BevCam, and incredible amount of understanding and grace being shown to each other, especially as we had the need to push the meeting that we're having right now should have been last week. I take full responsibility for that. And so, rescheduling is never easy. I apologize. One of the things that I'm hoping all the chairs got an email from me about trying to use a meeting template to keep our meeting minutes. It should help us not have the little conundrum we had earlier today with our meeting minutes. It should help with that, get us all a little bit more consistent, get us into our groove, and then we hopefully won't have any further schedule changes necessary. That's one. Number two, our resident representatives. A decent number of people have gotten letters. Not all the letters have gone out yet. I did see some resident reps here this evening, and I thanked them for coming. We had a fantastic pool and an incredible amount of talent. I love that there are members of the community who want to be involved. And so I continue to look at those and look at what we're doing and where we have opportunities to pull people in to be involved. Let's see. Next, community liaison reports. I hope to have in this section, as we move forward, reports from things that are not necessarily standing committees, but for instance, Ms. Cahill offered to attend the OSC meetings. Now, as my understanding, there hasn't been one yet that you've attended. I'm looking over there on that side of the room to say, do we have any clue when the next one might be? And I just need to make sure, we did just have one? Yeah, so we're going to have to make sure that we transfer the invites from me to Ms. Cahill. If could you, Ms. Brown, take that action item? I would be deeply indebted to you. Some good stuff happens there, and then we'll hear about that good stuff from Ms. Cahill moving forward. Ms. Ducharme took the Be Healthy Beverly. Do you got a minute or two update for us in Be Healthy Beverly land?
Microphone, I got it. Thank you. I do. I'm really excited about this, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. But as someone who didn't really understand much about know much about Be Healthy Beverly before I joined that call, I want to just share this for those that are listening and for the rest of the committee. Before participating in the first meeting, I had a conversation with Rebecca Jackson, who is the program director for Be Healthy Beverly, and she kind of brought me up to speed on what Be Healthy Beverly is. I also want to let everybody know that they do have a website that is great and a social media page. On the website, it talks about what Be Healthy Beverly is, and it gives a link to their upcoming events. I will back up and say that Be Healthy Beverly is a coalition that's primarily focused on youth substance prevention and mental health promotion. It meets 7:30 the last Wednesday of the month with a couple exceptions. Our next meeting is on the 8th at 7:30 in the morning. I also will share that it is actually a coalition of 7 different communities. It's not just Beverly, it's Danvers, Essex, Gloucester, Ipswich, Manchester, and Rockport. I will say that the members that participate are represented by Beverly Public Schools, the YMCA, first responders, businesses, the healthcare community, elected officials, the Board of Health, Parks and Rec, and the faith community. I will mention that 2 of the programs that are part of Be Healthy Beverly are the Beverly Middle School Changemakers and the Beverly High School Youth Prevention Coalition. I also want to share a couple examples of some things that they are doing. They hosted recently, actually, at the Hammond Castle. This was on January 29th from 6 to 7:30. I really liked the idea of this. I don't yet know how well it was attended. One of the things that the coalition is working on is how to publicize these events. And I have some thoughts, and I want to talk about this with Be Healthy Beverly, but I also would really welcome the rest of this community when I share something, if you might also share with people in your travels that these things are happening, because I think maybe my impression is one of the biggest challenges that they have is just getting the word out. So for example, this event at Hammond Castle that they had, it was called the Be the Trusted Adult Youth Need. I don't actually remember the exact title of it, but it was like about being a trusted adult. And the focus was for employers of youth, and it was about sort of encouraging connection to youth, encouraging them to use their agency, to kind of understand how to navigate the workspace, have sort of youth-friendly policies as employers. And it was an opportunity for employers to come together, communicate, and maybe even create some mentoring opportunities. I know, I am a parent of a 14-year-old who is thinking about entering the workspace, and there's so much about that they don't get. Right? And so the fact that we have an organization that is offering something like this to employers who want to work really effectively in that space is just really exciting to me. One of the things they also did that Beverly had 2 different surveys. Beverly was the only community that offered to send out the survey 2 times. It was called the Countdown to Middle School Survey. We had 88 responses. The focus of the Countdown to Middle School survey was to solicit feedback from caregivers on the idea of social and academic transition from elementary school to middle school. And we know with 5th grade, part of the middle school, that's a big jump. So they are trying to collect some information, and with that information, they're going to try to build some supports around what they can do to help with that transition. They're also doing some work around digital literacy. I know I said I was going to make this brief, so I'll wrap it up. They are working with the McPherson Center that I think is hopeful to open in March. Be Healthy Beverly is going to partner with the McPherson Center to run some fun, substance-free events for teens. For example, they're hoping to do a glow-in-the-dark Easter egg hunt, a 4th of July battle of the bands, and then maybe a back-to-school night. So I will endeavor to attend as many of these meetings as possible and to report back on this. I really think, even just based on my first impression, some of the stuff that they're trying to do is something that's just really great, and I would love to see it really well publicized. So,
Fantastic. Mr. Taylor, I would like to ask you to remind me what is the policy number, and you're going to have to turn on your microphone. What is the policy number that says that we're supposed to have a similar to a resident rep for our legislative purposes? All right, I don't need the policy number. How about what I'm going to say instead is we do have a policy, thanks to Mr. Taylor. He brought a policy to my attention that I had totally forgotten about that said we're supposed to have someone who kind of hangs out with legislative type of people and brings us updates very specific to that. I think in the past, I've definitely been very involved with that, and our previous president has been very involved. The mayor's usually pretty involved. So we've never really felt the need to have a member of the public appointed there. That said, Mr. Taylor brought this to my attention, and I'm thinking about whether we want to put out a call or maybe use one of these other talented people who applied, already gave us their name and number. But in the meantime, Mr. Taylor, I would like to ask that you fulfill that role. And that brings me to the next item on my list here, which is upcoming meetings and dates. Tomorrow night is, Dr. Cushing put it on the screen, the quote-unquote Hannah Bowen event about school funding. That has been posted as an open meeting for the school committee. So a quorum of us could, in fact, go there and be in a small group. Hannah expects to, Ms. Bowen, Representative Bowen, my apologies, has communicated to me that she expects to set up some small working groups and have people chatting about things, and we need not worry that we'll be in any kind of violation because it has been posted as an open meeting. I will need, I'll be on campus until approximately 7 p.m. tomorrow night, so if in fact you go and you look around and you count to 5 or more, Mr. Taylor, 5, not 10. 5 or more, then I'm gonna need one of you to call the meeting to order. Right? I call this meeting to order, and then when y'all leave, I should be there by the time you leave. If I get there and I make the 5th, I'll call us to order, and then we'll have to say, all right, we're adjourning as well. All right. So a little procedural thing there, but I hope that people go. I hope we take this opportunity. We know from our financial forecast that money's going to be tight, and so this is our opportunity to work with our next level up elected officials. Yes, Ms. Ducharme, I see your hand.
Thank you. So at the last committee of the whole regular school committee, I committed to reaching out to Ms. Bowen, which I did. We talked about posting the meeting. She recognizes that we need to do that. I also reached out to Beth Old-Mixon, the city solicitor. And if we do have a quorum of 5 or more, there was mention in Ms. Bowen's email to us that there might be the potential for breakout sessions. And so we just, as a committee, need to be careful not to have a quorum in those breakout sessions and be careful not to trip on anything that could become deliberation, on something that will come before this body. So just for clarification purposes, we have checked the box in terms of posting the meeting, but there is that additional component of us participating potentially as a quorum.
Okay, Ms. Coelho.
So in breakout sessions, if you do participate in any, you cannot have more than 3 participants of you together in a private breakout session.
It's our whole body, so it would be 4.
But when they're like private
there's
little
9 of
breakout
us.
sessions, it's like you can't have more than 3 people in a little cluster of a breakout session.
Says who? 3 of us, 3 school committee members,
3 school committee members. You can't have 3 school committee members versus other members in a little breakout session. They're called clusters, technically, according to one of these events I did go to before with Medley. But if we go as a body to a whole event, that is different. But when you break out into the little clusters, we learned that at the
Okay, fine. I just everybody who's gonna go. Sorry, I saw your hand. I'll be there in just a second. Just be mindful. All right. So I guess that's. Just be mindful if you have an opportunity to go to a breakout session where there aren't already, 1 or 2 of you, then please. I know likes attract, and we probably want to be hanging out with each other and talking with each other. Get away from each other, okay?
I'm all set.
Okay, you're all set. How about you? Trade.
So if the meeting's posted and if somebody calls it to order, then we're good and we don't need to worry?
I think we're good. I don't know all the intricacies, so I didn't go to this training that Ms. Coelho is referencing. To be safe, you're going to break into
Walk
little
away
groups.
if I see two of you.
Run away.
Okay. And we won't
Right?
take it personally.
Just to be safe, right?
Just turn around. Okay.
Yes,
Madam,
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, are you finished, Ms. Frost? I'm sorry.
I just feel like we're covered. And
Okay.
walk away, right? Or
Yeah,
am I totally wrong?
No, you're right. Mr. Mayor, did you have something to say on this topic, or can I keep going? Keep going. Okay, fantastic. All right, that's tomorrow night. Some of you might have heard me talk to Delia earlier. We have in our purview a requirement to meet with students in something called a student advisory. We've had really poor, Ms. Robinson and I have been on those lately, and literally often Delia is the only person there. And so I'm trying something new. I said that I would go to, in the world of social work, we say meet your clients where they are. So I am going to Beverly High. Delia invited me on 2 different Fridays, then Mr. Thomas said those Fridays don't work. The plan is for me to go there on a Friday during their advisory block, so they're not going to be missing any class. And I am going to do my best to offer food. And so we're really hoping that 3-pack of I go to them, it's during a time that they won't miss their class or their sports or anything, and I offer food, we'll get some other students in the classroom. And so once Mr. Thomas comes back, we can't do it in February, we're going to look at a Friday in March, and once I have that date, I'll post it, and anybody who's available is allowed to come. I recognize that doing it in the middle of the day makes it not doable for many of you. The alternative is we've been doing it at night and we get exactly 1 student. And that's not our goal. So I would like to ask everybody to think about, in your ward, going to your local PTO meeting, or at least bringing me your PTO schedule. My goal is for us to make a master schedule, and then as a group for us to try to go out and be in the community, be at those PTO meetings, bring information back, deliver information that you find useful out of our meeting minutes that have been approved. And so, for instance, you're in Ward 5, if you could bring the North Beverly schedule, that would be great. And so pretty much everybody has a school in their ward, and there's a little bit of, you maybe have 2, right? And maybe you have none. Who has none? Ward 2, you have none, right? Okay, fantastic. So anyway, try not to duplicate effort, but please think about doing that. We'll make this master schedule, and then we'll talk about attending PTO meetings moving forward when available. And our last thing relative to meeting dates is we need to do Dr. Cushing's review, and to do that, we need data from you. And so let's work backwards. You and I can talk about when you can have your evidence available, and at our next meeting, we can do scheduling things over email and without worrying about breaking any open meeting law rules. And so I will try to herd the cats, as I like to call it, and get a date that we all feel comfortable. Once we have his data, when can we expect that we can fill out the evaluation forms and check that off our list of things that we need to collectively do. Okay, I think that is everything for my president update. Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Sorry, and my preferred animal is not a cat, so when you heard me, I would prefer not to be a cat. That's it.
Especially, what did they call it in Monday night's city council meeting? They passed a new resolution about wild cats. So yeah, you don't want to be a cat. I'm sorry. I'll think of a new thing to say.
Oh dear. Okay, wildcats. One of the challenges I think with our PTOs, and I know this from being a PTO treasurer, and many of us have been on the PTOs, is that PTO dates are very fluid. And so perhaps, and I leave this up to you, President Visnick, it makes sense to allocate out ownership of PTOs, since PTO dates are so fluid, given.
All right, we can talk about it on another night.
good.
Probably the same night that I give you an orange vest instead of a Danvers blue one. Okay, our committee reports. A standing committee on finance and facilities. Ms. Coelho, do you have an update from earlier this evening?
Yes, I do.
Micro-
I have it, yes. Instead of a cat, you could be a snowy panther.
I'm sorry I opened this Pandora's box.
Well, F&F last met today, a little bit ago, on 2/4. We heard about an early college program coordinator position that is needed at the high school level, but I'm going to give you a different synopsis of it because Dr. Cushing already gave half of mine, so I'll reorganize that.
Sorry.
The duties will include such things as program coordination and operations, coordinate all aspects of the early college program, recruitment, onboarding, course registration, scheduling, and ongoing student support, and to serve as the liaison between the high school and partnering colleges, as well as student support and advising. We also heard from Miss Emma Puglisi about the municipal school finance. And then we have an update for our B&G report, which is online and you can read it. We did not get to go over our budget review with the revenues and expenses because we ran out of time. So that will be postponed to next month's F&F meeting. That is all I have for this week.
Fantastic, thank you. Standing Committee on Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life, Ms. Ducharme.
I'm sorry, thank you for that reminder. We heard from our high school representative, Ms. Delphine Qua, about some updates happening at the high school. She shared some experiences that she's really grateful for, and we also had a great presentation from Ms. Julie Jones and Ms. Andrea Carroll from Hannah Elementary School on the subject of specially designed instruction. They took us through Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 instruction, MTSS. We had an opportunity to ask some questions on that subject. And then we talked about what specially designed instruction looks like, data monitoring, etc. And then we had a presentation from Mr. Mark Thomas on the subject of the Beverly High School Program of Studies. And then we reviewed 2 policies that will be coming forward to this committee.
I have a question.
Yes, Madam President.
When do we expect that program of studies to come to the body of the whole for a vote?
That's a great question. I don't have an answer to that. Ms. Erin Brown, do you have a question for that? Or do you have an answer for that?
Meeting.
Next meeting? All right.
I'm happy-
I asked that question because then I need to make sure that it gets on this agenda.
Yeah, I had some questions around, as a newbie, I will say transparently that I had some questions around the information he presented in that there was a lot of material that he summarized, but there was a lot of, there was references to page numbers or there might be additional information. So having gone through this for the first time, I took away a lot of questions. I can reach out to Mr. Thomas, if that's fair, to ask him how much time he needs and then come back to you with what I think we need for time on the agenda. Like
How
a
about,
date.
did you guys vote to move
We
it
did
forward?
vote to approve it and move forward to
Okay.
this committee of the whole.
I'll leave that to you.
I'm happy to speak with Mr. Thomas.
Okay. Okay. that
Yeah,
sounds
we need
great.
it
Thank you.
ready sooner than later, so I would suspect the next meeting.
Okay. I'm sorry I didn't ask that question.
That's all right. No, again, I don't, I just want to make sure that it doesn't miss an agenda, right? Because I know that it's timely, right? And so I don't want to, I've already boogered up one agenda. I won't say this month because it was technically back in January. We'll try to get through a whole month without messing up any agendas. All right. And so in your packet, there are 2 policies for a first reading. The policies that start with the letter I. And then we have 4 policies for a second reading and a vote. And I apologize because I wasn't here for the first reading. I'm wondering if any of these 4 policies have differences made to them. So they're coming forward as is, and so the motion is to approve them, to mark them as reviewed?
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I'd actually like to make a suggestion on one of them, if possible.
Okay.
It's policy GBEB. I'm sorry, GBED.
Okay.
And I'll share on the screen and make it larger so we can actually see it. Let me go one more. So basically, one of the things that, so the tobacco industry is outpacing policy and laws and things along those lines. And so one of my suggestion for this is to add 2 parts. The first is nicotine pouches or similar products. So after electronic pipes, to add nicotine pouches. If you're not familiar, one of the brand names is Zyn. And so it gives you a direct shot of nicotine. You put it in your mouth, and it is really potent, and it can give you a high or whatever it is that people use it for. So Zyn tins and similar nicotine pouches. Would also suggest as this is for staff members, would also suggest the use of prescription nicotine cessation products are excluded from this policy, recognizing people's medical need to, hopefully break tobacco, smoking, or other products. But my suggestion is just the nicotine pouches and the second sentence.
The entire second sentence, even though you've only highlighted the word nicotine, the entire second paragraph, AKA sentence, is new and part of your requested amendment. Do
Yes.
I have a member here who would like to make a motion to add that amendment?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Coelho. Thank you, Ms. Frost. Are there any questions on this proposed amendment?
I
Yes.
have one question. With the nicotine cessation products, I've never used those before, I don't know, but I think you can buy them over the counter as well, right? Or are they just prescription?
I'm not familiar. I know when I did research on this previously and worked closely with the Board of Health that it was really focused on the prescription nicotine, that if you're just chewing the gum or whatever it may be over the counter, that's not what we're intended for. We're intended to go with that prescription, trying to cessess.
Okay, I'm just questioning the word of prescription if people are using over-the-counter ones, or do you not? I don't know.
Yeah.
So the use of over-the-counter ones would also be okay?
Want to avoid over-the-counter because Zyn tins themselves or tobacco products are over-the-counter. So would want to avoid that. But if somebody has a prescription, they're prescribed, a doctor is helping them to, end tobacco, that would be okay.
All right, any other questions? There's a motion. Yes, Mayor Mike. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Are we on the original motion?
We're on the motion to amend per Dr.
To amend the
Cushing's.
prior.
No, we didn't have an original motion. Am I boogering it up?
No, I think the motion is to approve Dr. Cushing's edits.
As amended?
Yeah.
Okay. With what's on the screen. This is the,
Okay, then if we're going to approve the whole policy, I have to ask about the title. Tobacco use on school property by staff members prohibited. Right? Tobacco use on school property prohibited, strike by staff members, because everybody is prohibited from using, and so there are two things. Everybody's prohibited from using these products on school property. I see that there's an attempt to call attention to the fact that staff members, because there are employees and they're there for work, that there's a step to be taken, right? I mean, a member of the public who's on property, they got to be kind of shooed off. You can't use the product, you've got to leave or whatever. But it feels that the policy is broader than staff members, it's everyone. So maybe we strike by staff members from the title, but maybe we don't. I mean,
Okay, so we are in a section of the policy that has to do with staff. I see your hand. Our policy chair, yes, I yield the floor to you.
I have a really big issue with the whole prescription piece of it, because I feel like any smoking cessation product you don't smoke it. All right, so, if somebody chooses to use gum or nicotine gum, they can get over the counter, as opposed to using maybe a prescription pill or a patch. I think whatever kind of cessation method they choose to use, that's just within their decision-making power. They shouldn't, because they're not coming onto property smoking. They're coming onto property and, I don't think we can govern whether they choose to use a prescription method or something they buy over the counter. So I would strike that from it altogether. And I do agree with the mayor with it, that it shouldn't just be, it's illegal for anybody to be smoking on school property, not just staff.
Right, what I believe is that we have a policy in a different section of the policy manual about students, and so we're in this particular letter, G, is in the policy section for staff, which is why it's named for staff. And so it may be true that we could have one generic no tobacco policy. However, that's not how our manual is organized. So maybe the best thing to do as our new policy team gets up to speed is to table this particular one and say, give you guys the task of making sure we have one for students and for staff, and then bringing it back, using this as the I'll say aspirational goal, right? And if when the policy group brings it back, the word prescription is not there, then this body can have that conversation at another date. Does that seem like a reasonable thing to do? So who made my motion? Somebody made a motion. Just now. You seconded it, thank you.
Oh, I thought I seconded it, but I could have been, sorry.
Okay, so will you please hold your hands? I see both of you. Okay, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I hear you. That makes good sense. I want to just ask a question. My understanding is state law is what prohibits use of tobacco products on school property. Am I right in that understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And since we're adding nicotine that is provided in a product that's not a tobacco product into our policy, do we know if the state law has caught up yet? So that we might add nicotine to the title as well? I'm just kind of, I'm not clear.
Happy to do research on that. Have done that previously, but it evades me at this moment.
Okay, thanks.
This also, too, did a lot of work on trying to make sure the nicotine-free generation, basically establishing a point in time that individuals will not be able to purchase. I know that that's come under some legal scrutiny, but to really end nicotine and tobacco, given how we pushed back, we as a society pushed back on cigarettes and other tobacco products and really had won that over the past 10 years or so. The vape situation has become so much more prevalent. And so really trying to, my intent here on this is to root out both nicotine and tobacco, because as companies are moving away from tobacco in some regard, the push to still get to our youth is there. So really trying to push that forward. I would also suggest, if the policy committee takes this up, I'm happy to work with the Beverly Board of Health and get their opinions and suggestions as well around the prescription piece to make sure that it is very Beverly specific.
Yes, Ms. Coelho?
So just to piggyback on what Ms. Cahill was saying real quick. So some of the over-counter things are a little bit different. Like if someone does have a prescription or they're waiting for a prescription so they can stop smoking cigarettes, sometimes while they're waiting for that prescription, the doctor will tell them, you try the Nicorette gum, you go to Walgreens, you go to CVS, you got to get it from the locked counter or whatever. I know that is completely different than those Zen-10 pouches. I know what you're talking about. Those things are rough. I have a son who has a friend who chews on those things. Those things are nasty. But if there is someone who's trying to kick smoking cigarettes, a lot of the times before the doctor does give them like the patch or the prescription, they tell them, go to Walgreens and get yourself some Nicorette. There's a fine line from over the counter to the prescription stuff too. Maybe that could be added in.
Okay, so Ms. Frost, I think we attributed the motion to you, so I'm going to ask you if you would withdraw your motion. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Taylor?
I wish to lay this on the table and refer this to the Committee on Policy.
Beautiful. So done. So let it be. Okay, so our next policy, IHBD, compensatory education, where I'm looking for a motion to approve this as we're marking this as reviewed.
So moved.
There are no changes to this policy.
Second.
We just have to review all our policies, all 5 years. Nobody wants any changes to this. So there's a motion by Ms. Ducharme, a second by Ms. Robinson. Any comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0 as reviewed. Policy IHB, as in Bob, F, homebound instruction. Same deal. We are voting to mark it as reviewed. I'm looking for that motion. Thank you, Ms. Coelho.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ducharme. Any comments, questions, concerns? Motion on the table. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0 as reviewed. Policy I, H, B as in Bob, G as in George, homeschooling. Looking for a motion to approve as reviewed.
Second.
I missed my first. Oh, thank you. And you were the second, Ms. Coelho? Trying to keep our meeting minutes clean. Yes, Mr. Taylor?
Quick question. The body does not have authority over procedure. Let's make that very clear. But do you have a procedure, Mr. Superintendent, for parents, guardians, and caregivers in the fourth paragraph to submit written notification of establishment of the home-based program?
We do.
You do.
We do. We also have Julie Smith is our coordinator for the homeschooling.
Thank you.
Fantastic. There's a motion on the table. Any more discussion? Questions? There's a motion on the table. All those in favor of marking as reviewed? Any opposed? That passes 9-0. Fantastic. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Ducharme, from the Committee on Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life?
No, ma'am.
Actually, can I just ask, I just want to make sure I spoke clearly. You said homebound, but you meant homeschooling.
There are two.
Homeschooling policy,
Okay.
IHBG.
Yes, thank you. I was correct then. When I was seeing homebound, and so, thank you.
Okay. Next is the negotiation subcommittee. My update there is that our administrative assistants are asking for a date. Dr. Cushing and I are trying to wrestle our respective scheduling tools to find a date that we can meet with that wonderful, that unit. Policy review subcommittee, Ms. Cahill.
Thank you. The Policy Review Committee met on, wrong page. We met on January 21st. We reviewed the policy primer. We had a few recommended changes, pretty simple. Page 1, item number 1 was change the number of school committee members from 7, which is what's written on there now, to the 9, which was approved. Secondly, in regards to the primary policy tracking spreadsheet, we would like to take it, it says it's not.
Bless you.
That people don't have, the public does not have access to it, but the school committee, members of the school committee do not have access unless it's deemed necessary. So we just wanted to see if we could open that to that school committee members could have it, whether it was deemed necessary or not, like if they wanted to look through the policy, like how that was all working. It was an issue for the committee when we met to be able to all be on the same page with things because they didn't have access to a lot of the stuff that I had access to. And so it was kind of a conundrum with how we were viewing things. So it'd be much easier if we could all have access to that. And then the last change that we're looking at is under the administrative designee in the last section. We have to strike Donna Bergeron because she's enjoying retirement, I'm hoping. And replace that with the executive assistant. That way I'm not anticipating that at any point in time we'll lose Ms. Quill, but just in the event that she retires on some occasion, we won't have to readjust that paragraph if we just use executive assistant instead of the name.
All right, so I'll just say that I believe that I did grant, at some point in time, I did give all the policy members access to the map. If we can, I'll take the action item to revisit that, because maybe, who the heck knows?
If that was after our meeting, then it's possible that no one's open to that.
Right, because at some point in time, I got a message from you, but it was from your Gmail as opposed to your Beverly
right.
Schools, right? I believe the day that I emailed you back to say, if you use your Beverly Schools, it should work.
Yeah.
I think I gave everybody on the policy
Okay,
committee
yeah,
access
I
on
was
that
able
day.
to access that,
So
right.
you guys can take the action item to all try to access the map, and if you can't access the map, contact Dora the Explorer.
Thank you, thank you.
Jerry has the floor. Ms. Cahill has the floor.
I'm, at this point in time, that was the pretty much the summation of our meeting. We are working on scheduling our next meeting due to some conflicts, so that's still pending.
Fantastic. All right. We are now at the point in time where I'm looking to see if anybody wishes to talk about communications from their constituents, communications from school committee members. Item 10 on the agenda. Yes, Mr. Taylor.
You know I love to talk, so I'll briefly do this. We had a wonderful event for Martin Luther King, being that it's February. It's Black History Month, so I think that's appropriate to reference. I was very pleased to hear that we had presentations from many of our elementary schools. And I was very pleased to hear that at Centerville, there were more students who wanted to speak at our Martin Luther King breakfast than could. That was fantastic, and we had a great presentation from Hannah's students. Our Beverly Middle School students were present, and our BHS Jazz Band was present. Fantastic event. Thank you so much.
Jazz band is always great. Actually, Bumpa is always great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. At this point in time, the chair moves to vote to meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A, for the following purposes, 7 and 3. Purpose 7, to review and approve executive session minutes from the following executive session meetings, December 17th, 2025. And purpose 3, to discuss litigation, Beverly Teachers Association, Beverly School Committee, MUP 2511273, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the school committee, so declares the chair, and to not return to open session. How about that was my motion? So I'll take you, Ms. Robinson, as a second. Thank you. This requires a roll call vote. Ms. Coelho?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson? Yes. Mr. Taylor? I need an audible. Really, you love to talk and you're going to give me a thumbs up? Okay,
I'm good with it.
thank you. Ms. Lennox,
Yes.
Ms. Ducharme,
Yes.
Ms. Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
That's so hard for me. All right, that passes 9-0. Again, we're going into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws 30A, Section 21A, for the following purposes, 7 and 3. 7 is to review the approval of executive session meeting minutes following from the December 17th, and purpose 3 is to discuss litigation, Beverly Teachers Association, Beverly School Committee, MUP 25-11-273, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Beverly School Committee. Thank you, BevCam.